One day, you will realize that the life you kept complaining about was actually the life you were supposed to enjoy. The peaceful mornings, the small conversations, the sunsets, the ordinary moments, they were all beautiful, but your mind was too busy worrying about the future to notice them. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that most human suffering is created by the mind. People spend their entire lives chasing happiness somewhere else, while ignoring the beauty already surrounding them. And sadly, many people only understand how precious life was when it is already slipping away. So before life becomes a memory, slow down, breathe deeply, and learn to truly live. Because life was always beautiful. You were just too busy worrying to see it. 1. Most suffering comes from the mind. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that most suffering is created by the mind. Many people suffer more from their thoughts than from reality itself. They constantly imagine worst-case situations, fear things that have not happened yet, and spend hours overthinking small problems. The mind keeps moving between the past and the future. It regrets old mistakes, worries about tomorrow, and creates stress even during peaceful moments. Because of this, people forget to enjoy the life happening right in front of them. A beautiful day can pass without being noticed because the mind is too busy worrying. A peaceful moment with family or friends can be ruined by anxious thoughts. Instead of appreciating life, people stay trapped inside fear and negativity. The Buddha explained that worrying does not truly protect your life. It only steals your peace, happiness, and energy. The more you feed fearful thoughts, the heavier your mind becomes. True peace begins when you learn to observe your thoughts instead of believing every negative idea that appears in your mind. When the mind becomes calm, life suddenly feels lighter, simpler, and more beautiful. 2. The present moment is your real life. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for happiness to arrive in the future. They believe they will finally feel peaceful when they become successful, earn more money, fix all their problems, or achieve their goals. But in Buddhism, the Buddha taught that life is not hidden somewhere in the future. Life is happening right now, in the present moment. The problem is that many people are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. While eating, they worry about tomorrow. While spending time with loved ones, they think about work, stress, or past mistakes. Their mind is always distracted, so they miss the beauty of the moment they are living in. Because of this, days pass quickly, months disappear, years go by without being truly experienced. The Buddha taught that peace can only be found in the present moment. The past is already gone, and the future has not arrived yet. The only moment you truly have is now. When you slow down and become fully present, life starts to feel different. Simple things begin to feel meaningful again. A quiet morning feels peaceful. A conversation feels deeper. Even small moments start bringing happiness. Do not spend your whole life waiting to finally live. Learn to appreciate the present moment, because this moment is your real life. 3. Slow down and notice life. Modern life has trained people to move too fast. Every day feels rushed. People wake up already stressed, immediately checking their phones, thinking about responsibilities, problems, money, work, and endless worries. Even when they are resting, their minds continue racing from one thought to another. Because of this, many people go through life without truly experiencing it. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that a restless and distracted mind cannot feel deep peace. When the mind is always busy, life starts to feel empty, repetitive, and exhausting. People become so focused on reaching the next moment that they completely miss the beauty of the current one. Many people rush through meals without tasting their food. They rush through conversations without truly listening. They spend time with family while thinking about stress and problems. Even during beautiful moments, their mind is somewhere else, and slowly life begins to pass by unnoticed. The Buddha taught that slowing down is not weakness or laziness. Slowing down is awareness. It allows you to reconnect with life again. When you slow down, you begin noticing things you ignored for years. You notice the peaceful sound of rain outside your window. You notice the warmth of sunlight on your skin. You notice the smile of someone you love. You notice the quiet moments that once felt ordinary. In Buddhism, peace is found in these simple moments, but a busy mind cannot see them. Many people believe happiness only exists in big achievements, success, money, or future goals. But the truth is, some of the most beautiful parts of life are very small and simple. A calm morning, a deep breath, a peaceful walk, sitting quietly without stress for a few moments. The problem is not that life has no beauty. The problem is that people are too distracted to notice it. The more noise you allow into your mind, the more disconnected you become from yourself. Endless worrying, social media, comparison, pressure, and overthinking slowly steal your ability to feel peace. This is why so many people feel mentally exhausted, even when nothing terrible is happening. The Buddha understood that the mind needs silence and stillness. A calm mind sees life clearly. A rushed mind sees only problems. When you slow down, your heart becomes lighter. You stop feeling like you are chasing life. You begin appreciating the present moment instead of constantly trying to escape it. And slowly you realize something powerful. Life was never empty. You were simply moving too fast to see how beautiful it truly was. 4. Attachment creates suffering in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that attachment is one of the deepest causes of suffering. Many people believe attachment means love, but attachment is actually the fear of losing something. It is when your happiness becomes completely dependent on people, situations, expectations, or outcomes, staying exactly the way you want them to stay. People become attached to relationships, money, success, comfort, attention, and even their own image. They want life to remain stable forever. They want people to never change, emotions to never fade, and happy moments to last forever. But life does not work that way. Everything in life changes. People change, feelings change, situations change. Life changes. Nothing stays the same forever. The problem is that the human mind struggles to accept this truth. It wants permanence in a temporary world. And because of this, people suffer deeply whenever life changes in unexpected ways. Someone leaves, and the mind breaks down because it was attached. A situation changes, and fear appears because the mind wanted control. Things do not go as planned, and suffering begins because expectations were too strong. The Buddha explained that suffering does not come only from losing things. Suffering comes from refusing to accept that everything in life is temporary. Many people cannot enjoy the present because they are too afraid of losing it. Instead of appreciating the people around them, they constantly fear abandonment. Instead of enjoying success, they worry about failure. Instead of feeling grateful for today, they become anxious about tomorrow. This is how attachment slowly steals peace from the mind. In Buddhism, true peace begins when you stop trying to hold life too tightly. This does not mean you stop loving people or caring about life. It means you learn how to appreciate things without becoming emotionally controlled by them. The Buddha taught that when you accept impermanence, your heart becomes lighter. You stop demanding that life stay perfect forever. You stop expecting people to never change. You stop believing happiness can only exist when everything goes your way. And strangely, this acceptance allows you to enjoy life more deeply. When you realize moments are temporary, you begin appreciating them more. When you realize people will not always be here, you love them more sincerely. When you realize life is short, ordinary moments become meaningful. A sunset feels more beautiful because it disappears. Flowers feel precious because they eventually fade. Life feels valuable because it does not last forever. Impermanence is not meant to make you sad. It is meant to wake you up. It reminds you to stop taking life for granted. Many people spend their entire lives chasing control. They try to control relationships, the future, people's opinions, and every outcome in life. But the more they try to control everything, the more anxious and exhausted they become. The Buddha understood something very powerful. Peace does not come from controlling life. Peace comes from learning how to flow with life. The moment you stop fighting reality, your suffering begins to decrease. You become emotionally freer. Your mind becomes calmer. You stop panicking every time life changes. And slowly, you begin understanding that happiness was never about holding on to everything forever. It was about appreciating life while it is here. Life becomes much more beautiful when you stop trying to make every moment permanent, because the truth is, nothing was ever meant to stay forever, and that is exactly what makes life so precious. 5. Comparison destroys peace in Buddhism. Comparison is seen as one of the quietest forms of suffering. It slowly steals happiness from the mind without people even realizing it. The moment you begin comparing your life to others, gratitude disappears and peace becomes difficult to find. Many people spend their entire lives looking at what others have instead of appreciating what they already have. They compare their success, appearance, money, relationships, lifestyle, and achievements to everyone around them. And because of this, they constantly feel behind in life. The Buddha taught that every person walks a different path. Every person has different struggles, different timing, and different lessons to learn. But the human mind often forgets this truth. Instead of focusing on its own journey, it becomes obsessed with measuring itself against others. In today's world, comparison has become even more dangerous. Every day, people scroll through social media, watching the best moments of other people's lives. They see success, happiness, luxury, beauty, and perfect images constantly displayed in front of them. Slowly, they begin believing everyone else is happier, more successful, and living a better life. But what they see is not complete reality. Many people hide their pain behind smiles. Many people hide loneliness behind success. Many people look happy on the outside while struggling deeply inside. The problem is that comparison blinds you from your own blessings. Instead of noticing your progress, you only notice what you still lack. Instead of feeling grateful for your life, you become emotionally exhausted trying to keep up with others. The Buddha understood that a mind filled with comparison can never truly rest. The ego always wants more. More attention, more validation, more success, more approval. And because of this endless desire, peace disappears. In Buddhism, true happiness does not come from becoming better than everyone else. True happiness comes from becoming free from unnecessary suffering. When you stop comparing yourself to others, something powerful begins to happen. Your mind becomes quieter. You stop feeling pressured to prove yourself to the world. You stop chasing unrealistic expectations created by society. And slowly, you begin appreciating your own life again. You begin noticing how far you have already come. You begin appreciating your own growth. You begin feeling grateful for the people who truly care about you. You begin understanding that your journey does not need to look like someone else's journey. The Buddha taught that contentment is one of the greatest forms of wealth. A peaceful mind is far more valuable than endless success without inner peace. Some people spend their whole lives chasing more and still feel empty. Meanwhile, another person with very little can feel peaceful because they have learned how to appreciate the present moment. Comparison creates endless dissatisfaction because there will always be someone richer, more attractive, more successful, or more talented. If your happiness depends on being better than others, your peace will never last. But when you focus on your own path, life becomes lighter. You stop competing with everyone around you. You stop trying to impress people who are not living your life. You begin building a deeper connection with yourself instead. The Buddha taught that a flower does not compare itself to another flower. It simply blooms in its own time. In the same way, your life is unfolding in its own way. Some people achieve success early. Others grow slowly through pain, failure, and experience. But that does not make one life more valuable than another. Every person has their own season. The moment you stop comparing, you finally begin seeing life clearly again. You notice the beauty that was already around you. You notice the peace you ignored while trying to become someone else. And slowly, you realize something important. Your life was never missing anything. Comparison simply made you forget how beautiful your own journey truly is. 6. Remember that life is short in Buddhism. Reflecting on death is not considered something negative or depressing. The Buddha taught that remembering the temporary nature of life actually helps people wake up and finally understand what truly matters. Most people live as if they have unlimited time. They act as though there will always be another tomorrow, another opportunity, another chance to appreciate life later. Because of this illusion, they continue postponing happiness, peace, love, and gratitude. They tell themselves they will slow down later. They will spend more time with family later. They will finally enjoy life later. They will rest later. They will become peaceful later. But many people never reach that later. The Buddha understood something very powerful about human beings. People often do not appreciate life while they are living it. They only realize the value of something after it is gone. A healthy person forgets the blessing of health until sickness arrives. A person surrounded by loved ones forgets their value until loneliness appears. A peaceful, ordinary day feels unimportant until life becomes difficult. This is why Buddhism teaches people to remember impermanence every day, not to create fear, but to create awareness. Because when you truly understand that life is temporary, your entire perspective begins to change. Suddenly, many of the things you worried about no longer feel important. Small arguments lose meaning. The need to impress people becomes weaker. Endless comparison begins to look pointless. The pressure to always be perfect slowly disappears. You begin understanding that your time on this earth is limited, and because of that, every moment becomes more valuable. Most people are so distracted by stress and fear that they forget how fragile life truly is. Every day, time quietly moves forward. People grow older, seasons change, children become adults, parents age, relationships shift. And while all of this is happening, the mind remains busy worrying about things that may never even happen. Many people spend years living inside anxiety instead of living inside reality. The Buddha taught that this is one of the saddest ways to live. To be alive physically, but absent mentally. To sit in beautiful moments while the mind is trapped somewhere else. Think about how many moments you failed to fully experience because your mind was overwhelmed with worry. Maybe there were days when your family was laughing together, but your mind was stuck thinking about problems. Maybe there were peaceful mornings you ignored because you were too focused on stress. Maybe there were people who deeply loved you, but you were too distracted by fear to fully appreciate them. This is what worrying does. It steals the present moment and replaces it with imagined suffering. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the practice of returning to life again. It teaches you to stop escaping the present moment and finally experience it completely. The Buddha understood that peace is not hidden somewhere far away. Peace exists here now, inside ordinary moments that people constantly overlook. A quiet evening, a deep breath, the sound of rain, a conversation with someone you love, a calm sunrise, a simple meal shared with family. These moments may seem small, but one day they become priceless memories. The truth is, many people are chasing happiness so aggressively that they completely miss the happiness already surrounding them. They believe peace only exists after success, after money, after recognition, after achieving every goal. But Buddhism teaches that peace is not created by future achievements. Peace is created by awareness. A person who cannot appreciate small moments today will still feel empty tomorrow, even after gaining more. The Buddha taught that death is one of the greatest teachers because it reminds people to stop wasting their lives on meaningless suffering. When you remember that your life is temporary, you begin asking yourself deeper questions. Am I truly living? Am I appreciating the people around me? Am I constantly distracted? Am I wasting my life worrying about things beyond my control? Am I actually enjoying this life or simply surviving it? Most people avoid these questions because they are uncomfortable. They distract themselves with endless entertainment, noise, work, social media, and busyness, so they never have to face the reality that life is passing quickly. But no distraction can stop time. Every year disappears faster than the previous one. The older people become, the more they realize how temporary everything truly is. Suddenly, childhood feels distant. Old memories feel unreal. People they once spoke to every day slowly disappear from their lives. This is why the Buddha encouraged awareness of impermanence. Because awareness creates gratitude. When you understand that moments will not last forever, you begin appreciating them more deeply. You stop taking your loved ones for granted. You stop assuming there will always be more time. You stop postponing peace. You stop delaying happiness, and slowly your heart begins to soften. Many people believe that thinking about death will make them sad. But in Buddhism, remembering death can actually make life feel more beautiful. It helps you stop living carelessly. It helps you stop wasting your energy on negativity and meaningless stress. Because one day, all the things you currently ignore may become the things you miss the most. One day, you may miss hearing someone's voice. One day, you may miss ordinary mornings that once felt boring. One day, you may miss simple conversations you barely paid attention to. One day, you may miss the version of yourself that exists right now. Life often feels ordinary while we are living it. But later, those ordinary moments become memories we wish we could experience one more time. This is why the Buddha taught that awareness is the key to truly living. When you become mindful, life changes. You begin noticing things you once ignored. You begin feeling grateful for small moments instead of constantly chasing bigger ones. You stop living entirely inside the future and begin experiencing the present. The mind becomes calmer. The heart becomes lighter. Life begins to feel meaningful again. Many people are waiting for some huge event to finally make them happy. But happiness is often hidden inside ordinary moments that the distracted mind overlooks every day. A peaceful walk outside, the warmth of tea in your hands, the feeling of fresh air, laughter with someone you love, a silent moment without stress. These are the moments that quietly create a beautiful life. But the worried mind cannot see beauty clearly because it is too busy predicting problems. It keeps saying, "What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose everything?" And while the mind keeps imagining future suffering, real life continues moving forward unnoticed. The Buddha taught that life becomes heavy when the mind refuses to stay present. Most suffering comes from resisting reality instead of experiencing it. People fight uncertainty constantly. They want guarantees about the future. They want complete control over life. But life has never been fully controllable. And because people cannot control everything, they become anxious. But Buddhism teaches a different path. Instead of trying to control life, you learn how to accept life. You stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. You stop expecting permanent happiness from temporary things. And strangely, this acceptance creates peace. The Buddha compared life to flowing water. You cannot stop a river from moving. You cannot freeze moments forever. The more tightly you try to hold life, the more suffering you create. But when you flow with life instead of fighting it, your heart becomes lighter. You begin appreciating moments while they are here, instead of desperately trying to make them last forever. This understanding changes the way you live. You become more patient, more grateful, more aware. You stop wasting time trying to impress everyone around you. You stop allowing small problems to destroy your peace. Because deep down, you understand something many people forget. Life is temporary. And because life is temporary, every moment matters. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. Many people reach the end of life realizing they were physically alive, but mentally absent for most of it. They spent too much time worrying, rushing, comparing, stressing, and chasing things that never truly brought peace. And in the end, they realized something heartbreaking. Life was never the enemy. Life was always beautiful. The real problem was that their mind was too distracted to notice it. That is why Buddhism teaches people to wake up before it is too late, to stop postponing joy, to stop waiting for perfect conditions before allowing themselves to feel grateful, to stop living as prisoners of fear and anxiety, because no one knows how much time they truly have. This moment matters. This conversation matters. The people around you matter. Your peace matters. Do not wait until life becomes a memory before realizing how precious it truly was. One day, the ordinary moments you ignore today may become the moments you wish you could experience again for just one more minute. And that is why the Buddha taught people to slow down, become mindful, and fully experience life while they still can. because life is not meant to simply be survived. It is meant to be noticed. It is meant to be appreciated. It is meant to be lived. 7. True peace comes from acceptance. In Buddhism, one of the deepest causes of suffering is resistance. People constantly fight reality instead of understanding it. They fight change, they fight uncertainty, they fight painful emotions, and they fight the natural flow of life itself. Because of this constant inner struggle, the mind becomes exhausted. The Buddha taught that suffering increases when people refuse to accept life as it truly is. Many people believe peace will come only when everything becomes perfect. They think they will finally feel calm once all problems disappear, once everyone understands them, once life becomes easier, or once the future becomes completely secure. But life has never worked that way. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. There will always be moments of loss, disappointment, confusion, and difficulty. And the more you demand life to always go your way, the more frustrated and emotionally tired you become. Many people spend their entire lives trying to control everything around them. They try to control people's opinions, future outcomes, relationships, success, and every possible situation. But no matter how hard they try, life continues changing on its own. People leave unexpectedly, plans fail, situations change overnight, emotions rise and fall, nothing stays permanent. This is one of the hardest truths for the human mind to accept. The ego wants certainty because certainty feels safe. It wants guarantees that nothing painful will happen. But Buddhism teaches that peace does not come from controlling life. Peace comes from understanding the nature of life. The Buddha understood that life is always moving, always changing, always transforming. Trying to force permanence into an impermanent world only creates suffering. Think about how much emotional pain people create simply by resisting reality. Some people cannot accept aging, so they spend years fearing time. Some people cannot accept endings, so they become trapped in heartbreak forever. Some people cannot accept failure, so they begin hating themselves after mistakes. Some people cannot accept uncertainty, so they spend every day anxious about the future. But the Buddha taught that life becomes lighter when you stop fighting what you cannot control. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming weak or passive. In Buddhism, acceptance means seeing reality clearly without creating unnecessary emotional resistance. It means understanding that pain is part of life, but endless suffering often comes from the mind refusing to let reality be reality. For example, sadness may naturally appear after loss. That is human. But many people make their suffering worse by continuously resisting what already happened. They replay the situation endlessly in their minds. They keep wishing reality were different. They keep mentally fighting something that cannot be changed. And because of this resistance, the wound remains open. The Buddha taught that attachment to how life should be is one of the biggest reasons people lose peace. The mind creates expectations about how people should behave, how success should happen, how relationships should look, and how life should unfold. Then, when reality does not match those expectations, frustration appears immediately. This is why acceptance is so powerful. The moment you stop demanding perfection from life, your heart becomes calmer. You stop expecting every day to feel amazing. You stop expecting every person to understand you completely. You stop believing happiness depends on controlling every outcome. And slowly, the pressure inside your mind begins to disappear. In Buddhism, acceptance allows people to flow with life instead of constantly fighting against it. The Buddha often used nature as an example. Trees do not resist seasons. Rivers do not resist movement. The sky does not resist storms. Nature flows naturally because it accepts change. But human beings often resist everything. They resist painful emotions instead of understanding them. They resist endings instead of learning from them. They resist uncertainty instead of adapting to it. And because of this, they suffer more than necessary. The Buddha taught that emotions are temporary, just like everything else in life. Happiness comes and goes. Sadness comes and goes. Anger rises and falls. Fear appears and disappears. But when people panic every time difficult emotions appear, they create even more suffering. Many people fear sadness so much that they never allow themselves to fully heal. They distract themselves constantly to avoid uncomfortable emotions. They fill their lives with noise, entertainment, and endless distractions because silence forces them to face themselves. But Buddhism teaches that healing begins when you stop running from your emotions and learn to sit with them peacefully. A calm mind does not panic every time life becomes difficult. It understands that no feeling lasts forever. The Buddha compared emotions to clouds passing through the sky. Some clouds are dark, some are light, but none remain forever. In the same way, difficult moments eventually pass if you stop feeding them with endless resistance. This understanding creates emotional freedom. You stop becoming controlled by every problem that appears in life. You stop allowing temporary situations to completely destroy your peace. Instead, you begin observing life with more patience, awareness, and wisdom. Many people think peace comes from having a perfect life. But Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from having a balanced mind. A peaceful person can remain calm even during difficult times because their peace is not dependent on external perfection. Meanwhile, a restless person can feel miserable even while surrounded by success, money, or comfort because their mind never learned acceptance. This is why inner peace is more valuable than external achievement. Some people spend their entire lives chasing success but still feel empty inside. They achieve goals, buy more things, gain recognition, and still feel anxious because the mind always wants something else. The ego survives through dissatisfaction. It constantly says, "This is not enough, you need more, you will finally be happy later," but later never truly arrives. The Buddha taught that peace can only exist when the mind learns contentment, not because life becomes perfect, but because the mind stops demanding perfection from life. Acceptance also changes the way you experience other people. Many relationships become painful because people try to control each other. They want others to always behave a certain way, always understand them perfectly, or always meet every emotional expectation. But people are imperfect. Every human being carries confusion, pain, fears, and flaws. The moment you accept that nobody is perfect, your relationships become lighter. You stop expecting impossible things from others. You become more patient, more compassionate, more understanding. The Buddha taught that compassion naturally grows when the ego becomes quieter, and acceptance helps quiet the ego. When you stop trying to control everyone and everything, your heart becomes softer. You begin seeing life differently. You become less reactive. Small things stop bothering you so deeply. Many people destroy their own peace by reacting emotionally to every small inconvenience. One negative comment ruins their day. One mistake makes them hate themselves. One disappointment causes endless stress. But the Buddha taught that suffering becomes smaller when your reactions become calmer. A peaceful mind understands that not everything deserves emotional energy. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming wiser about what truly matters. As awareness grows, you begin realizing how much energy you wasted fighting temporary situations. You begin understanding that many problems were never worth destroying your inner peace over. And slowly, life begins feeling lighter. You laugh more naturally. You breathe more deeply. You stop rushing constantly. You stop trying to prove yourself to everyone. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. The Buddha taught that freedom begins inside the mind, not outside. External life may never become completely stable. There will always be unexpected situations. But when your mind becomes calm, life no longer feels like a constant battle. Acceptance allows you to finally rest emotionally. Many people are physically tired, not because life is impossible, but because their mind never stops resisting reality. They overthink constantly. They replay problems endlessly. They worry about things beyond their control. Their nervous system never experiences true stillness. But acceptance creates inner silence, and inside that silence, peace begins to grow. In Buddhism, silence is powerful because it reconnects people with themselves. When the mind becomes quiet, clarity appears. You begin seeing what truly matters. You realize that life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be experienced. The beautiful moments, the painful moments, the uncertain moments, the peaceful moments, all of it is part of being human. The Buddha never promised a life without difficulty. He taught a way to remain peaceful even while life continues changing. This understanding changes everything. Instead of fearing change, you begin flowing with it. Instead of fearing endings, you begin appreciating moments while they last. Instead of fighting life constantly, you begin trusting the process of life more deeply. And suddenly, you realize something powerful. Peace was never hidden in perfect circumstances. Peace was hidden in acceptance. The moment you stop fighting reality, your suffering begins to decrease. Life becomes softer, more meaningful. You begin noticing beauty again. The warmth of sunlight feels calming. A quiet evening feels peaceful. Simple conversations feel valuable. Ordinary moments begin feeling sacred. Not because life suddenly changed overnight, but because your mind changed. The Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly without unnecessary resistance. And when you finally stop fighting everything, you discover something most people spend their entire lives searching for: inner peace. Not because the world became perfect, but because you learned how to accept life as it truly is. And in that acceptance, life becomes beautiful again. 8. Life was always beautiful. You are just too busy worrying. In Buddhism, one of the deepest forms of awakening is realizing that life was never as empty as the mind believed it was. Many people spend years thinking happiness exists somewhere far away. They believe peace will finally arrive after success, after money, after recognition, after relationships improve, or after all problems disappear. Because of this, they continue postponing happiness while life quietly passes by. The Buddha taught that this is one of the greatest illusions created by the mind. People become so focused on chasing a better future that they completely forget to experience the present. They wake up every morning already carrying stress. Their minds immediately begin thinking about responsibilities, fears, deadlines, problems, and uncertainty. Even during peaceful moments, they cannot relax because the mind keeps searching for something to worry about. And slowly, this becomes their normal way of living. Many people no longer know how to simply sit quietly and feel alive. Silence makes them uncomfortable because silence forces them to face their thoughts. So they constantly distract themselves with noise, social media, entertainment, endless conversations, work, and stimulation. They stay mentally busy every second because they are afraid of slowing down. But the Buddha understood something very important. A distracted mind cannot see life clearly. When the mind is constantly overwhelmed with fear, comparison, pressure, and overthinking, even beautiful moments begin to feel ordinary. A peaceful sunrise becomes invisible. Time with loved ones becomes something people take for granted. Simple moments that once could have brought happiness are ignored because the mind is trapped somewhere else. This is why so many people feel empty even while surrounded by blessings. The problem is not always that life lacks beauty. The problem is that the mind is too distracted to notice it. Think about how many moments you failed to appreciate because you were busy worrying. Maybe there were peaceful mornings you rushed through because your mind was stressed about the future. Maybe there were conversations with loved ones that you barely paid attention to because your thoughts were somewhere else. Maybe there were moments of laughter, silence, nature, or peace that could have become beautiful memories, but the mind was too busy carrying anxiety. This is one of the saddest truths about human life. People often realize the beauty of life only after moments have already passed. A person misses their childhood only after growing older. A person appreciates health only after becoming sick. A person values loved ones deeply only after losing them. A person understands the beauty of ordinary life only after difficult times arrive. The Buddha taught that human beings suffer because they are mentally absent from their own lives. Their body exists in the present, but their mind constantly escapes into fear, regret, comparison, and imagined problems. And because of this, life begins to feel heavy. Many people believe worrying is necessary. They think constant stress means they are being responsible. They believe if they stop worrying, everything will fall apart. But Buddhism teaches that excessive worrying does not protect life. It only steals peace from the present moment. Worrying steals sleep. It steals joy. It steals awareness. It steals emotional energy. It steals the ability to appreciate life. The more trapped the mind becomes in fear, the more disconnected a person becomes from reality itself. The Buddha compared the uncontrolled mind to water constantly shaken by wind. When water is disturbed, it cannot reflect clearly. In the same way, when the mind is constantly disturbed by fear and overthinking, it cannot experience peace clearly. But when the mind becomes calm, life suddenly looks different. Simple things begin to feel meaningful again. A deep breath feels calming, a quiet walk feels healing, a peaceful evening feels valuable. A small conversation feels important. Nothing outside changed, only the mind became quieter. This is why mindfulness is one of the most important teachings in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to return to the present moment instead of constantly escaping into unnecessary mental suffering. The Buddha taught that peace exists here and now, but the distracted mind keeps overlooking it. Most people are waiting for some huge achievement before allowing themselves to feel happy. They believe they must first fix every problem before they can relax. But life has never been free from problems. There will always be uncertainty, responsibilities, challenges, and change. If happiness depends on life becoming perfect, peace will never arrive. Buddhism teaches a different path. Instead of waiting for perfection, you learn to appreciate life exactly as it is right now. Not because life is always easy, but because life itself is precious. Many people are so focused on what they still lack that they forget how much they already have. They ignore their health while chasing more money. They ignore loved ones while chasing success. They ignore peace while chasing validation. They ignore life while chasing a future that never fully arrives. And one day, they suddenly realize time has disappeared. The Buddha understood that human life is temporary and fragile. Every moment is passing, every season changes, every experience eventually becomes memory. But instead of allowing this truth to create fear, Buddhism teaches people to let impermanence create gratitude. Because life does not last forever, every moment matters more. The sound of laughter matters. Quiet mornings matter. Simple conversations matter. Moments with family matter. Peaceful silence matters. One day, the ordinary moments you currently overlook may become the moments you miss the most. This is why the Buddha taught people to wake up before it is too late. Many people live unconsciously for years. They repeat the same stressful patterns every day. Wake up stressed, rush through the day, overthink constantly, chase more, compare constantly, sleep exhausted, repeat again. And because the mind never slows down, life begins feeling meaningless. But the moment awareness enters the mind, everything changes. You begin noticing beauty again. You notice how peaceful the sky looks in the evening. You notice the warmth of tea in your hands. You notice the comfort of silence. You notice the kindness of people around you. You notice how valuable calm moments truly are. The beauty was always there. The worried mind simply could not see it. In Buddhism, awakening is not escaping the world. Awakening is finally becoming fully aware of the life you are already living. Many people believe enlightenment is something mystical or unreachable. But often, awakening begins with something very simple. Finally paying attention. Paying attention to your breathing. Paying attention to nature. Paying attention to your emotions. Paying attention to the people around you. Paying attention to the present moment instead of constantly escaping it. The Buddha taught that when awareness grows, suffering decreases. This happens because awareness interrupts unconscious living. Most suffering is created automatically. The mind continuously creates fearful thoughts without being questioned. It constantly imagines future disasters, compares itself to others, and replays painful memories. But mindfulness teaches you to observe thoughts instead of immediately believing them. You begin realizing that not every thought deserves your attention. Just because the mind creates fear does not mean danger is real. Just because the mind creates insecurity does not mean you are worthless. Just because the future feels uncertain does not mean life is falling apart. The Buddha taught that peace begins when the mind stops fighting reality constantly. And slowly, something beautiful begins happening inside you. The pressure decreases, the rushing slows down, the emotional weight becomes lighter. You begin understanding that life was never supposed to be perfect all the time. There will always be moments of pain. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be endings and change. But there will also always be beauty. The sound of birds in the morning, a peaceful sunset, the smile of someone you love. A quiet moment of rest after a difficult day, the feeling of breathing calmly after stress finally fades. These moments may seem small, but together they create a meaningful life. The Buddha taught that happiness is often hidden inside simplicity, but the modern world constantly teaches people to ignore simple things. Society tells people they must constantly achieve more, earn more, become more, and prove more. People become trapped in endless ambition and comparison, and while chasing bigger things, they forget how to appreciate smaller things. But no amount of success can replace inner peace. There are people with wealth who still feel deeply unhappy because their minds never learned contentment. And there are people with very little who still feel peaceful because they learned gratitude. Buddhism teaches that true happiness is not created by external possessions. It is created by the condition of the mind. A peaceful mind can enjoy ordinary moments deeply. A restless mind cannot enjoy anything for long. This is why inner peace is one of the greatest forms of wealth. The Buddha understood that the human mind often creates unnecessary suffering by constantly resisting life. People resist change, resist uncertainty, resist discomfort, resist imperfection. But life continues changing no matter how much resistance exists. And because people fight reality so much, they become exhausted emotionally. The more you try to control every part of life, the heavier life feels. But when you finally stop fighting everything, peace slowly begins to return. You stop expecting every day to feel perfect. You stop demanding certainty from the future. You stop trying to control every outcome. And suddenly, your heart feels lighter. The Buddha compared life to flowing water. Water moves naturally without resistance. But human beings often spend years mentally fighting the natural flow of life. They want everything to remain permanent in a world where nothing lasts forever. This creates endless suffering, but acceptance changes everything. When you accept impermanence, you stop taking moments for granted. You appreciate life more deeply because you understand how temporary everything truly is. You begin understanding that one day, the people around you will change. The places you know will change. Your current life will become memory. And because of this truth, gratitude begins growing naturally inside the heart. You stop waiting for perfect conditions before allowing yourself to feel alive. Many people are emotionally absent from their own lives because they believe happiness exists somewhere else. But the Buddha taught that peace is not hidden in the future. Peace exists inside awareness. Right now, life is happening, not tomorrow, not next year, not after success arrives. Now, this moment matters. The breath you are taking matters. The people around you matter. The peace available right now matters. Do not spend your entire life mentally escaping the present moment, only to later realize the present moment was the most valuable thing you ever had. One day, all the ordinary moments you currently overlook may become priceless memories. One day you may miss these quiet evenings. One day you may miss the people around you. One day you may wish you had appreciated life more deeply while it was happening. And that is why Buddhism teaches awareness so strongly. Because awareness allows you to finally experience life, instead of simply rushing through it unconsciously. The Buddha taught that real peace begins when the mind becomes fully present, not trapped in regret, not trapped in fear, not trapped in comparison, just present. And in that presence, something extraordinary happens. Life becomes beautiful again. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because your mind finally became calm enough to notice the beauty that was always there. Life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to see it. 9. Stop chasing a perfect life and start living the one you already have. In Buddhism, one of the biggest illusions people suffer from is the belief that life must become perfect before they are finally allowed to feel peaceful or happy. Many people spend years waiting for the right moment to truly live. They believe happiness will begin after success arrives, after money increases, after problems disappear, after they heal emotionally, or after life finally becomes easier. But the Buddha taught that this way of thinking creates endless suffering. Because the truth is, life will never become completely perfect. There will always be challenges. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be moments of stress, confusion, disappointment, and change. If your peace depends on a perfect future, your peace will always remain out of reach. Many people unknowingly spend their entire lives postponing happiness. They keep telling themselves, "I'll relax later. I'll enjoy life once everything is fixed. I'll be peaceful after I achieve more. I'll finally be happy when life becomes perfect," but later keeps moving further away. The Buddha understood that the human mind is constantly chasing something else. Even after achieving one goal, the mind immediately creates another desire. A person wants more money, then after getting it, they want more success. After success, they want more validation. After validation, they want more control. The cycle never truly ends. This is why Buddhism teaches that endless craving creates suffering. The mind becomes trapped in a constant state of dissatisfaction. No matter how much a person gains, it never feels fully enough because the mind always focuses on what is still missing. And while people keep chasing the next thing, life quietly passes by. Many people fail to appreciate the life they already have because they are too focused on the life they wish they had. They ignore peaceful moments because they are obsessed with future goals. They ignore loved ones because they are too busy chasing status. They ignore their health because they are constantly working without rest. They ignore their inner peace because they're addicted to external achievement. The Buddha taught that suffering often begins when people stop appreciating the present reality and become emotionally attached to imagined futures. This does not mean goals are wrong. Buddhism does not teach people to become lazy or without ambition. But the Buddha warned against allowing desires to completely control your peace of mind. There is a difference between working towards something peacefully and becoming emotionally dependent on achieving it. Many people believe, if I finally achieve this thing, then I will feel complete. But after achieving it, the mind quickly becomes restless again, because the real problem was never external. The real problem was the inability to feel content within the present moment. The Buddha taught that contentment is one of the greatest forms of freedom. A person who constantly needs more can never fully relax. But a person who learns gratitude can experience peace even in ordinary moments. Modern society constantly teaches people to chase perfection. People feel pressured to have the perfect appearance, perfect career, perfect lifestyle, perfect relationships, and perfect image. Every day they compare themselves to unrealistic standards created by social media, society, and the opinions of others. Because of this, many people feel like their current life is not enough. But the Buddha taught something very different. He taught that peace begins when you stop fighting your current reality constantly. Many people destroy their own happiness because they are unable to appreciate simple things anymore. They overlook peaceful mornings, healthy bodies, quiet evenings, supportive people, and ordinary moments because their mind keeps saying, "This is not enough." The ego survives through dissatisfaction. It constantly convinces people that happiness exists somewhere else. But Buddhism teaches that happiness is often hidden inside the life you already have. Think about how many moments could have brought peace if the mind had simply slowed down enough to notice them. A conversation with family, a quiet moment after a stressful day, fresh air in the morning, the feeling of rest after exhaustion, a simple meal shared with people you love. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they create a meaningful life. The problem is that people are often too distracted to notice them. The Buddha understood that the mind naturally moves toward craving and dissatisfaction. That is why mindfulness is so important in Buddhism. Mindfulness interrupts unconscious chasing. It teaches people to become fully aware of what is already present, instead of constantly escaping into future desires. When mindfulness grows, gratitude begins to grow naturally as well. You begin realizing how much beauty already exists around you. You begin appreciating moments you once ignored. You begin understanding that life was not empty. Your mind was simply too distracted to notice its beauty. Many people think a meaningful life must look extraordinary. But the Buddha often taught that true peace is found in simplicity, not in endless noise, not in endless competition, not in constantly proving yourself to others, but in awareness, balance, and inner stillness. A calm mind can enjoy simple things deeply. A restless mind cannot enjoy anything for long. This is why inner peace matters more than external perfection. There are people with success who still feel deeply anxious because their minds never learned gratitude. And there are people with very little who still feel peaceful because they learned how to appreciate the present moment. The Buddha taught that happiness does not come from controlling life perfectly. It comes from changing your relationship with life. Many people are constantly mentally fighting reality. They complain about what they do not have. They resist uncomfortable emotions. They compare themselves endlessly. They believe life should always feel exciting, easy, or ideal. But life was never designed to feel perfect every moment. There will always be ups and downs, moments of joy and moments of pain, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. This is part of being human. The Buddha taught that suffering becomes smaller when you stop demanding perfection from life. Acceptance creates emotional freedom. When you stop expecting every day to feel perfect, small disappointments stop controlling your emotions so deeply. You become more patient with yourself and with life. You begin understanding that peace is not created by perfect circumstances. Peace is created by a balanced mind. Many people think they are chasing success, but deep down they are actually chasing peace. They believe certain achievements will finally remove their inner emptiness. But Buddhism teaches that external things alone cannot permanently satisfy the mind. The mind always wants more. That is why people who achieve success often continue feeling restless. The ego immediately creates another desire, another comparison, another fear. Without inner awareness, the cycle never ends. The Buddha taught that true peace begins when the mind learns enoughness. Enoughness does not mean giving up growth. It means no longer allowing your happiness to depend entirely on external outcomes. You can still grow, still improve, still work hard. But your peace no longer disappears every time life feels imperfect. This changes the way you experience the world. You stop rushing through life trying to arrive somewhere emotionally. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. You stop feeling like your current life is meaningless simply because it is not perfect. And slowly, gratitude begins replacing dissatisfaction. You begin noticing things you once ignored. The beauty of silence, the comfort of rest, the value of health, the importance of genuine connection, the peace hidden inside ordinary moments. The Buddha taught that awareness transforms ordinary life into something sacred. Many people believe spiritual awakening means escaping the world. But often awakening simply means finally seeing the beauty that was already present all along. A peaceful evening becomes meaningful. A quiet conversation becomes valuable. A simple breath becomes calming. Not because life changed, but because awareness changed. The mind that constantly chases perfection can never fully enjoy the present. It is always mentally somewhere else. But the mindful mind experiences life deeply. This is why the Buddha taught people to slow down and observe life carefully. Because most beauty exists in moments that distracted people overlook completely. Modern life trains people to believe bigger always means better, bigger success, bigger attention, bigger achievements. But Buddhism teaches that peace often grows through simplicity instead. The more attached people become to external perfection, the more fragile their happiness becomes. One failure can destroy their confidence. One criticism can ruin their peace. One disappointment can make life feel meaningless. But a peaceful mind is different. It understands that life is imperfect by nature, and because it accepts imperfection, it becomes emotionally stronger. The Buddha compared life to changing weather. Some days are sunny, some days are stormy, but no weather remains forever. The same is true for life. Difficult emotions pass, stressful seasons pass, painful moments pass, everything changes. This understanding creates patience. You stop panicking every time life becomes difficult because you understand that no situation lasts forever. You stop believing temporary problems define your entire existence. And slowly, emotional freedom begins growing inside you. The Buddha taught that people often create unnecessary suffering by refusing to appreciate the present moment until it becomes memory. A person ignores peaceful, ordinary days until chaos arrives. A person ignores loved ones until distance appears. A person ignores health until sickness comes. Only then do they finally realize how beautiful life already was. This is why Buddhism teaches gratitude so strongly. Gratitude reconnects you with reality. It reminds you that not everything valuable in life is dramatic or extraordinary. Sometimes the most meaningful parts of life are quiet and simple. A calm morning, a moment of silence, the feeling of safety, the sound of someone laughing, the ability to breathe peacefully without stress. These moments matter more than most people realize. Many people are waiting for life to become extraordinary before allowing themselves to feel grateful. But the Buddha taught that a grateful mind can find beauty even in ordinary existence. And this changes everything. Life stops feeling like a race. The pressure inside the mind decreases, the obsession with perfection weakens, and suddenly you begin truly living instead of constantly chasing. The Buddha taught that awakening happens when people finally stop searching everywhere else for the peace that was already available within awareness itself. The beauty was always here. The peaceful moments were always here. The meaningful conversations were always here. The small blessings were always here. The problem was never that life lacked beauty. The problem was that the worried mind was too distracted, too restless, and too busy chasing perfection to notice how precious life already was. One day, many people will look back and realize that the ordinary life they spent complaining about was actually filled with beautiful moments they failed to appreciate. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally understanding its value. Slow down, become aware. Appreciate what already exists around you. Because life was never waiting for perfection to become beautiful. Life was already beautiful. You were simply too busy chasing something else to notice it. 10. Before life ends, learn how to truly live in Buddhism. One of the greatest regrets a person can experience is reaching the end of life and realizing they never truly lived while they had the chance. Many people spend their entire existence trapped inside stress, fear, overthinking, pressure, and endless mental noise. They become so distracted by survival, comparison, future worries, and emotional struggles that they completely forget to experience the miracle of being alive. The Buddha taught that human life is extremely rare and precious. Yet most people move through life unconsciously. They wake up every day carrying anxiety. Their minds immediately begin replaying problems, imagining future disasters, comparing themselves to others, and worrying about things they cannot control. And because of this, life quietly passes by. Days turn into months, months turn into years. Years disappear before people even realize it. Many people believe they are living, but in reality they are only mentally surviving. Their minds never rest. Even during peaceful moments, they remain emotionally absent because they are trapped inside thoughts. The Buddha understood that this is one of the deepest forms of suffering, to be alive physically, but disconnected from life mentally. Think about how often people miss beautiful moments because the mind is somewhere else. A person sits with family but thinks about work. A person walks outside but notices nothing around them. A person experiences peace for a brief moment, then immediately ruins it with worry about the future. The present moment keeps offering life, but the distracted mind keeps rejecting it. In Buddhism, true living begins when awareness returns to the present moment. The Buddha taught that the mind constantly moves between regret about the past and fear about the future. But peace can only exist in the now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, only now. Most people assume they have endless time left. They act as though there will always be another opportunity to appreciate life later, another chance to rest, another chance to spend time with loved ones, another chance to finally slow down and become peaceful. But the Buddha taught that life is uncertain and temporary. No one truly knows how much time they have. This truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to wake people up emotionally before life disappears unnoticed. Many people postpone happiness their entire lives. They say, "I'll finally relax after success. I'll enjoy life after making more money. I'll become peaceful after solving every problem. I'll appreciate life more later." But later keeps moving further away, and suddenly years are gone. The Buddha understood that the mind is addicted to chasing. It constantly searches for future satisfaction. It believes peace exists somewhere else, somewhere ahead, somewhere beyond the current moment. But this constant chasing prevents people from appreciating what already exists around them. Many people overlook simple blessings because they are too focused on what they still lack. They ignore health while chasing wealth. They ignore peace while chasing validation. They ignore loved ones while chasing success. They ignore the beauty of ordinary life while waiting for extraordinary moments. And because of this, gratitude disappears from the heart. The Buddha taught that suffering grows when people stop seeing the value of what is already present. Modern life trains people to constantly want more. More success, more attention, more money, more recognition, more perfection. But even after achieving these things, many people still feel empty because the mind never learned contentment. The ego always says, "This is not enough. You need more. You will finally be happy later." But later never fully arrives. In Buddhism, peace does not come from endlessly improving external life. Peace comes from transforming the mind itself. A restless mind can never fully enjoy anything for long. A peaceful mind can find beauty even in simple moments. This is why inner peace matters more than external achievement. The Buddha taught that awareness changes the entire experience of life. When awareness grows, ordinary moments begin feeling meaningful again. A quiet morning becomes peaceful. A simple meal becomes comforting. A calm evening becomes healing. A deep breath becomes valuable. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became present. Many people spend years rushing through life without ever slowing down enough to notice its beauty. They move from one task to another, one worry to another, one distraction to another. Their nervous system never truly rests. Even during moments of silence, the mind continues racing. This constant mental noise disconnects people from themselves. The Buddha understood that silence is necessary for inner peace. When the mind becomes quiet, clarity begins to appear. People begin understanding what truly matters. And usually, what matters most is not complicated. Love matters. Presence matters. Peace matters. Health matters. Time matters. Connection matters. Not endless stress. But society often teaches people the opposite. People are praised for being constantly busy, constantly productive, constantly exhausted. Rest is treated like laziness. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels unfamiliar. So people continue running toward future goals, running away from uncomfortable emotions, running from silence, running from themselves. And while all this running continues, life quietly slips away. The Buddha taught that true wisdom begins when a person finally stops running long enough to observe life clearly. When awareness grows, many illusions begin to break. You realize that many things you worried about were never truly important. You realize how much energy you wasted trying to control everything. You realize how many beautiful moments you ignored because your mind was distracted. And slowly, gratitude begins replacing anxiety. You begin appreciating small things again. The sound of rain outside, a peaceful conversation, the comfort of silence, the warmth of sunlight, the feeling of breathing calmly after stress. These moments may appear ordinary, but together they create a beautiful life. The Buddha taught that people often fail to appreciate life because they assume it will always remain available. But nothing lasts forever. People change. Moments disappear, life moves quickly, and one day the ordinary moments people ignored become the moments they miss the most. One day, someone may miss the peaceful home they once complained about. One day, someone may miss the voice of a loved one they took for granted. One day, someone may wish they could experience one more ordinary day they once overlooked completely. This is why Buddhism teaches awareness of impermanence so strongly. Impermanence is not meant to make life feel hopeless. It is meant to make life feel precious. A sunset is beautiful because it fades. Flowers are beautiful because they bloom briefly. Life is beautiful because it does not last forever. The Buddha taught that people become free emotionally when they stop demanding permanence from temporary things. Many people suffer because they want life to stay exactly the same forever. They want certainty in an uncertain world. They want guarantees that nothing painful will happen. But life continues changing no matter how much resistance exists. And the more people resist reality, the heavier life feels. Acceptance changes everything. When you stop fighting every part of life, your heart becomes lighter. You stop expecting every moment to feel perfect. You stop believing happiness depends on controlling every outcome. And suddenly, life becomes easier to breathe through. The Buddha taught that peace begins when the mind accepts the natural flow of life instead of constantly resisting it. There will always be moments of difficulty. There will always be endings. There will always be uncertainty. But there will also always be beauty. The beauty was never missing. The problem was that fear distracted people from seeing it. Many people are so consumed by anxiety that they forget they are alive right now. They spend years mentally preparing for disasters that never arrive. They constantly imagine worst-case scenarios. Their mind creates endless suffering before anything even happens. This steals life from the present moment. The Buddha taught that worrying cannot stop pain from existing in life, but it can stop you from experiencing peace while life is still here. And that is a tragic way to live. Imagine spending your whole life chasing peace without realizing peace was available in simple moments all along. Imagine reaching old age and realizing you were too distracted to enjoy your youth, too worried to appreciate your family, too mentally busy to notice how beautiful ordinary life truly was. This realization breaks many people emotionally later in life. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that point. That is why mindfulness is so important in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to return to reality, to stop escaping into endless thought, to stop living entirely inside fear, to stop postponing happiness endlessly. The mindful person experiences life more deeply because their awareness is present. They notice beauty more easily. They feel gratitude more naturally. They appreciate moments more deeply, not because their life is perfect, but because their mind is finally awake. The Buddha taught that awakening is not becoming someone different. Awakening is finally seeing clearly, seeing that life was always happening now, seeing that peace was always hidden inside awareness, seeing that happiness was often hidden inside ordinary moments. Many people spend years searching for meaning somewhere far away, while completely overlooking the life directly in front of them. But meaning often exists inside simple things. Helping someone, laughing with loved ones, watching the sky quietly, feeling calm after chaos, being fully present for one peaceful moment. These things matter more than people realize. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. Many people live automatically. They repeat the same stressful patterns every day without awareness. Their mind becomes trapped inside routine, pressure, and distraction. But the mindful person experiences life differently. They stop rushing constantly. They stop taking small moments for granted. They stop waiting for perfect conditions before allowing themselves to feel alive. And because of this, life begins feeling meaningful again. Many people believe happiness is hidden somewhere in the future. But Buddhism teaches that happiness is often hidden behind mental noise. Once the noise decreases, beauty becomes visible again. The beauty of silence, the beauty of simplicity, the beauty of peace, the beauty of human connection, the beauty of simply being alive. Life was never as empty as the anxious mind believed it was. The anxious mind simply could not see clearly. The Buddha taught that freedom begins the moment people stop allowing fear, craving, and distraction to completely control their awareness. Because at the end of life, most people will not regret failing to become perfect. They will regret not truly living while they still had the chance. They will regret the moments they failed to appreciate, the peace they postponed, the people they ignored, the beauty they overlooked because the mind was too busy worrying. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally understanding its value. Slow down enough to notice life now. Notice the people around you. Notice your breathing. Notice the small moments. Notice the peace that still exists, even during difficult times. Because one day, everything you currently call ordinary may become something you would give anything to experience one more time. The Buddha taught that life itself is the miracle, not the future, not success, not perfection, this moment. And when the mind finally becomes quiet enough to truly experience the present, something beautiful happens. Life stops feeling like something to survive and starts feeling like something precious to experience. Life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice. 11. One day, you will realize the small moments were the big moments in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that human beings often search for meaning in the wrong places. People spend most of their lives chasing huge achievements, future success, recognition, money, status, and perfection, believing these things will finally make life feel complete. But while chasing these distant goals, they unknowingly overlook the small moments that actually give life its deepest meaning. And one day, many people realize something heartbreaking. The moments they ignored were the moments that truly mattered most. The peaceful mornings, the laughter with loved ones, the quiet evenings, the ordinary conversations, the calm moments when nothing dramatic was happening. These were the real treasures of life. But the distracted mind could not see their value while they were happening. The Buddha understood that the human mind constantly searches for bigger things because it believes happiness must be extraordinary. People think they need massive success, perfect circumstances, or constant excitement before they can finally feel fulfilled. But Buddhism teaches something very different. True peace is often hidden inside ordinary life. A calm breath, a simple smile, a moment of silence, a peaceful walk outside, sharing food with someone you love. These things may appear small, but they carry a kind of quiet beauty that many people fail to notice until much later. Modern life has made people addicted to stimulation. The mind constantly wants something bigger, faster, louder, and more exciting. Because of this, people become disconnected from simple moments. Silence feels boring. Rest feels unproductive. Ordinary life feels meaningless. So people continue chasing more attention, more success, more distractions, more achievements. But the Buddha taught that endless chasing creates endless dissatisfaction. No matter how much the ego gains, it quickly wants something else. This is why so many people reach goals they once dreamed about and still feel empty afterward. The mind immediately creates another desire, another comparison, another expectation. And because of this endless cycle, people forget how to simply appreciate being alive. Many people do not realize how precious a moment is until it disappears forever. A child does not realize childhood is special while living it. A person does not realize the value of good health until sickness arrives. A person does not fully appreciate time with loved ones until separation or loss happens. Only then does the heart finally understand what the mind once ignored. The Buddha taught that impermanence is one of life's greatest teachers, because it reminds people not to take ordinary moments for granted. Everything changes. Children grow older, parents age, friends drift apart, seasons pass, moments become memories. Nothing stays forever, and because nothing lasts forever, every moment becomes more valuable. Many people spend years waiting for important moments, while completely missing the importance of everyday life. They believe life truly begins after success arrives, after problems disappear, or after everything finally becomes perfect. But life was already happening. While they were worrying about tomorrow, life was happening. While they were trapped in comparison, life was happening. While they were mentally absent, life was happening. The Buddha taught that the present moment is the only place where life truly exists. But the distracted mind rarely stays present long enough to fully experience it. Most people live either inside regret about the past or anxiety about the future. Their body exists in the current moment, but their awareness is somewhere else completely. And because of this, they miss the beauty directly in front of them. Think about how many beautiful moments you barely noticed because your mind was distracted. Maybe someone you love was speaking to you, but you were thinking about stress. Maybe there was a peaceful sunset outside, but your attention was trapped inside worries. Maybe you were living through a moment that later became precious memory, but at the time, your mind treated it like something ordinary. This is one of the saddest truths about human life. People often realize the beauty of moments only after those moments are gone forever. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that regret. That is why mindfulness is such an important teaching in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to return to life again. It teaches people to stop rushing unconsciously through existence and finally become aware of what is happening around them. When awareness grows, life begins feeling different. Simple things suddenly become meaningful. A peaceful cup of tea feels comforting. The sound of rain feels calming. A quiet morning feels healing. A conversation feels deeper. Silence no longer feels empty. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became present enough to notice. The Buddha taught that happiness is not always found in extraordinary experiences. Sometimes happiness is hidden inside the smallest moments imaginable. But only the mindful mind can truly experience those moments deeply. The restless mind is always searching for something else. Many people are physically alive, but emotionally disconnected from life itself. They move through routines automatically every day without awareness. Wake up, rush through responsibilities, worry constantly, repeat again. Their nervous system remains in survival mode for so long that they forget how to simply relax and experience peace. Even during calm moments, the mind continues racing. But the Buddha taught that peace becomes visible when the mind becomes still. Stillness allows people to reconnect with life. When the mind quiets down, beauty becomes easier to notice. You begin seeing things you ignored for years. The comfort of your home, the kindness of people around you, the beauty of nature, the gift of another morning, the peace hidden inside ordinary silence. The problem is not always that life lacks beauty. The problem is that people are too mentally busy to see it. Modern society trains people to constantly believe they are behind in life. Social media, comparison, pressure and endless competition make people feel like ordinary life is not enough anymore. Everyone is chasing more success, more recognition, and more external validation. And slowly, people stop appreciating what already exists. The Buddha taught that comparison destroys contentment because the mind becomes obsessed with what it still lacks. Instead of gratitude, dissatisfaction grows. Instead of peace, pressure grows. Instead of awareness, distraction grows. And because of this, life begins feeling empty. But mindfulness interrupts this cycle. Mindfulness brings attention back to the present moment. It reminds people that life is not hidden somewhere in the future. Life is happening now. This breath matters. This moment matters. This conversation matters. Many people are waiting for one huge event to finally make life meaningful. But often, life is built from thousands of small moments that quietly shape the heart over time. The Buddha taught that a meaningful life is not created only through achievement. It is created through awareness. Awareness transforms ordinary moments into sacred experiences. A mindful person experiences life more deeply because they are emotionally present. They notice beauty more easily. They feel gratitude more naturally. They appreciate people more sincerely, not because their life is perfect, but because their awareness is awake. The Buddha understood that most people do not need a completely different life. They need a different relationship with life. A grateful mind experiences life differently from a restless mind. The grateful mind notices beauty. The restless mind notices only what is missing. This is why two people can live completely different emotional realities while experiencing similar circumstances. One person constantly complains, compares, and worries. The other notices peace, simplicity, and gratitude. The external world may look similar, but the condition of the mind changes everything. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. The mind shapes the way life feels. A peaceful mind sees beauty more clearly. A fearful mind sees problems everywhere. Many people spend years believing life itself is the source of their unhappiness, when often the real source is the condition of their own mind. The Buddha taught that awakening begins when people stop living unconsciously. You begin questioning the endless rushing. You begin questioning the constant worrying. You begin questioning why your mind keeps postponing happiness. And slowly, clarity appears. You realize life is not something to endlessly chase through. It is something to experience fully. Many people destroy their own peace because they are mentally never satisfied with where they are. They constantly feel pressure to become more, achieve more, prove more, and control more. But the Buddha taught that contentment creates freedom. Contentment does not mean giving up growth. It means no longer making your happiness dependent on perfection. You can still improve yourself, still work toward goals, still grow, but your peace no longer disappears every time life feels imperfect. This understanding changes the way you experience ordinary moments. You stop treating small moments like obstacles on the way to happiness. Instead, you begin realizing they are happiness. A quiet dinner with family, a calm evening after stress, a simple laugh with someone you love. These moments are life itself, and one day they become memories that feel priceless. The Buddha taught that life becomes meaningful when awareness enters the present moment completely. Not partially, not distracted, fully. Most people are too mentally absent to experience life deeply. They are constantly multitasking, worrying, comparing, or escaping reality through distractions. But the mindful person experiences each moment more fully, and because of this, life feels richer emotionally. The Buddha compared awareness to waking up from sleep. Most people move through life half awake mentally. Their thoughts control them automatically. Their fears shape their decisions. Their distractions steal their attention. But mindfulness creates awakening. Suddenly, life becomes visible again. The sky looks more beautiful. Nature feels calming. Simple moments feel peaceful. Ordinary life begins feeling meaningful, not because life changed overnight, but because awareness changed. The Buddha taught that suffering decreases when awareness increases. This happens because awareness interrupts unconscious mental habits. You stop feeding every fearful thought. You stop comparing yourself constantly. You stop escaping the present moment endlessly. And as the mind becomes quieter, peace naturally begins appearing. Many people spend years searching outside themselves for happiness, without realizing happiness was often hidden behind mental noise all along. Once the noise decreases, beauty becomes visible again. The beauty of silence, the beauty of simplicity, the beauty of connection, the beauty of ordinary existence. This is why the Buddha taught that life itself is already enough when the mind learns awareness and gratitude. You do not need a perfect life to experience peace. You do not need endless success to feel alive. You do not need constant excitement to experience meaning. Sometimes the most beautiful moments in life are the quietest ones, but only the present mind can truly see them. One day, many people will look back and realize the moments they thought were small were actually the moments that mattered most. The ordinary mornings, the peaceful evenings, the conversations they barely appreciated, the people they assumed would always be there. These were the real treasures. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally understanding its value. Slow down enough to notice what already exists around you, because one day you may realize that the small moments you once ignored were actually the big moments of your life. And life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 12. The moment you stop worrying, life begins to feel beautiful again. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that peace does not suddenly appear because life becomes perfect. Peace appears when the mind finally stops creating unnecessary suffering. Many people believe the world is the reason they feel unhappy, but often the real problem is the constant noise inside their own mind. The mind worries endlessly. It fears the future, it regrets the past, it imagines problems before they happen. It overthinks small situations until they become emotional burdens. And after carrying this mental weight for years, people slowly forget how to simply feel alive. The Buddha understood that human beings are often entrapped inside thoughts so deeply that they stop experiencing reality itself. Their body exists in the present moment, but their awareness is completely lost inside fear, stress, pressure, and endless mental conversations. This is why many people feel emotionally exhausted even when nothing terrible is happening around them. The mind never rests. Even during peaceful moments, people continue worrying. They sit in silence but cannot feel calm because the mind immediately searches for another problem to think about. It jumps from one fear to another fear, from one regret to another regret. And because of this, life begins to feel heavy. Many people no longer know how to enjoy simple moments because their nervous system has become addicted to stress. Peace feels unfamiliar to them. Slowing down feels uncomfortable. Silence feels strange. So they continue distracting themselves constantly. Phones, noise, entertainment, work, social media, comparison, overthinking. Anything to avoid sitting quietly with themselves. But the Buddha taught that the more distracted the mind becomes, the more disconnected people become from life itself. A distracted mind cannot see beauty clearly. This is why many people can stand in the middle of a beautiful moment and still feel empty inside. Their life may contain peaceful mornings, supportive people, healthy bodies, and simple blessings, but the mind remains too trapped in fear to appreciate any of it. The Buddha understood that suffering is often not created by reality itself, but by the stories the mind continuously creates. People imagine future disasters that never happen. They replay old mistakes endlessly. They overanalyze small situations until anxiety grows stronger. And while the mind keeps creating imagined suffering, real life quietly continues passing by unnoticed. Think about how many moments you failed to enjoy because you were busy worrying. Maybe there were peaceful nights when your mind refused to relax. Maybe there were happy moments with family that you barely experienced because your thoughts were trapped somewhere else. Maybe there were beautiful opportunities to feel grateful, but fear prevented you from fully being present. This is one of the deepest tragedies of unconscious living. People wait their entire lives for happiness while unknowingly ignoring the happiness already around them. The Buddha taught that life becomes beautiful again the moment awareness returns to the present moment. Not because problems disappear, not because life becomes perfect, but because the mind becomes quieter. When the mind slows down, something extraordinary happens. You begin noticing things you ignored for years. The sound of birds in the morning suddenly feels peaceful. Fresh air feels calming. A quiet evening feels meaningful. Simple conversations feel valuable. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply stopped fighting life long enough to finally experience it. This is why mindfulness is such an important practice in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to stop escaping reality and fully return to the present moment. The Buddha taught that the present moment contains peace, but most people never experience it because their mind is trapped somewhere else. Some people live entirely inside regret. They replay old mistakes over and over again. They keep thinking about things they should have said, things they should have done differently, and opportunities they lost. Because of this, the past continues controlling their emotions, even though it no longer exists. Other people live entirely inside fear of the future. They constantly ask themselves, what if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if life gets worse? And because the mind remains trapped between regret and fear, the present moment disappears completely. But the Buddha taught that peace can only be experienced now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. This moment is life itself. Many people unknowingly waste years preparing for life instead of actually living it. They believe happiness exists after success, after healing, after solving every problem, after becoming perfect. But the Buddha understood that if the mind cannot appreciate life now, it will finding reasons to remain dissatisfied later. The restless mind always wants more. Even after achieving goals, it quickly creates new worries, new fears, and new desires. This is why people who finally reach success often still feel empty emotionally. The external world changed, but the condition of the mind remained restless. The Buddha taught that true peace is an inner experience, not an external achievement. A peaceful mind can experience joy even in simple, ordinary moments. A restless mind can remain unhappy even while surrounded by success. This is why Buddhism focuses so deeply on training the mind instead of endlessly chasing external perfection. Most people spend years trying to control life without realizing they first need to understand their own mind. The uncontrolled mind constantly creates suffering automatically. One negative thought becomes 10 more negative thoughts. One small problem becomes a huge emotional burden. One moment of uncertainty becomes endless anxiety, and slowly the mind becomes exhausted. But mindfulness interrupts this cycle. The moment awareness enters the mind, thoughts lose some of their control. You begin observing thoughts instead of immediately believing every fear your mind creates. This changes everything. You begin realizing that not every thought deserves your attention. Just because the mind predicts disaster does not mean disaster is coming. Just because fear appears does not mean danger is real. Just because uncertainty exists does not mean life is falling apart. The Buddha taught that the mind becomes peaceful when it stops feeding unnecessary mental suffering. And as peace grows inside the mind, life begins feeling lighter, the pressure decreases, the emotional noise becomes quieter. Simple moments begin feeling meaningful again. Many people think beauty disappeared from life, but often beauty disappeared only from their awareness. The beauty was still there. The sunrise was still there. The calm evenings were still there. The people who loved them were still there. But the worried mind could not fully see any of it. Modern life constantly pulls people away from the present moment. Society trains people to always chase something else. More success, more attention, more productivity, more validation. And because people are constantly mentally chasing the future, they stop experiencing the life directly in front of them. The Buddha taught that endless craving creates endless suffering. The more people believe happiness exists somewhere else, the less capable they become of appreciating what already exists now. This is why gratitude is so powerful in Buddhism. Gratitude brings awareness back to the present moment. It reminds people that not every beautiful thing in life is dramatic or extraordinary. Sometimes the greatest peace comes from very small moments. A deep breath after stress, a moment of silence, a quiet walk, a peaceful conversation, rest after exhaustion. These moments may appear simple, but they carry deep beauty for the mindful person. The Buddha taught that the distracted mind overlooks miracles every single day. Many people believe they need a completely different life before they can finally feel peaceful. But often, they simply need a calmer mind. Because when the mind becomes calm, life itself begins looking different. You stop rushing constantly. You stop mentally fighting reality every second. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. And suddenly, you feel more alive. This is why meditation is so important in Buddhism. Meditation trains people to sit with the present moment instead of constantly escaping it. It teaches people how to observe thoughts without becoming imprisoned by them. At first, many people struggle with silence because they finally notice how noisy their mind truly is. But slowly, with awareness, the mind becomes calmer. And inside that calmness, peace begins appearing naturally. Not artificial happiness, not temporary excitement, real inner peace. The Buddha taught that peace is not hidden somewhere far away. It already exists beneath the mental noise. But people must slow down enough to experience it. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they have spent years carrying unnecessary mental suffering. They worry about things beyond their control every single day. Their mind never truly rests. Even while lying in bed, the mind continues racing. Even during vacations, the mind continues worrying. Even during happy moments, the mind searches for problems. This creates deep emotional exhaustion. But Buddhism teaches that the mind can be trained differently. You can learn awareness. You can learn stillness. You can learn presence. And slowly, life begins feeling softer again. You stop treating life like a constant emergency. You stop reacting emotionally to every small problem. You stop allowing fear to control your awareness completely. The Buddha taught that suffering decreases when awareness increases. Because awareness creates space between you and your thoughts. You begin realizing, I do not need to believe every fear my mind creates. I do not need to carry every problem mentally all day. I do not need to destroy the present moment with constant worrying. And as this understanding deepens, something beautiful begins happening. Life becomes visible again. You begin appreciating things you ignored for years. The comfort of your home, the value of health, the beauty of nature, the warmth of human connection, the peace hidden inside silence. The Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly without the constant fog of fear, distraction, and overthinking. Many people think happiness comes from controlling everything around them. But Buddhism teaches that peace comes from learning how to let go of unnecessary mental struggle. Life was never meant to be controlled perfectly. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. There will always be difficult moments. But there will also always be beauty. And the mindful person learns how to notice that beauty even during imperfect seasons of life. Because peace is not created by perfect circumstances. Peace is created by a balanced mind. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. Most people move through life automatically. Their fears control them. Their stress controls them. Their habits control them. But mindfulness creates awakening. Suddenly, life no longer feels empty. The world begins feeling softer. Moments begin feeling deeper. Ordinary life begins feeling meaningful. Not because life changed overnight, but because the mind finally became calm enough to experience life properly. One day, many people will realize they spent too much time worrying about life instead of actually living it. They will realize they destroyed peaceful moments with unnecessary fear. They will realize happiness was available in ordinary moments they ignored completely. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that regret. That is why Buddhism teaches awareness so deeply. Because the moment the mind stops drowning in fear, something incredible happens. Life begins feeling beautiful again. Not because problems disappeared, but because awareness returned. And when awareness returns, the heart finally understands something it overlooked for years. Life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 13. One day, everything you are worrying about today will no longer matter in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that one of the greatest causes of suffering is forgetting how temporary everything in life truly is. People become emotionally consumed by problems, fears, stress, and pressure because the mind treats every difficult moment as if it will last forever. But the truth is, almost everything people worry about eventually fades away with time. The argument that once felt huge becomes meaningless years later. The fear that kept you awake at night eventually disappears. The stressful situation that once controlled your emotions slowly becomes memory. Yet while these temporary problems exist, the mind reacts as if the entire world is collapsing. This is why the Buddha taught that awareness of impermanence creates wisdom. When you deeply understand that life is constantly changing, your relationship with problems begins to change as well. Many people spend years emotionally suffering over things that later become completely irrelevant. They lose sleep over opinions that people eventually forget. They destroy their peace over mistakes that no longer matter. They carry anxiety about futures that never even happen. And because of this constant mental suffering, they fail to appreciate the life unfolding around them. The Buddha understood that the human mind often exaggerates problems. Fear makes situations feel larger than they truly are. The mind constantly asks, what if everything goes wrong? What if I fail? What if life falls apart? And because the mind continuously imagines worst-case scenarios, the body remains trapped in stress and tension. But most imagined disasters never actually happen. This is one of the greatest traps of the anxious mind. It suffers repeatedly over possibilities instead of realities. The Buddha taught that people often create far more suffering in their thoughts than life itself creates in reality. Think about how many times you worried deeply about something that eventually passed. A difficult season ended. A painful emotion faded. A stressful situation changed. A fear lost its power. But while you were inside that moment, the mind convinced you the suffering would last forever. This is why Buddhism teaches people to observe life carefully instead of reacting emotionally to everything immediately. Because life is always changing. Pain changes, emotions change, situations change, people change. Even your current worries will eventually change. Nothing remains permanent. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence brings emotional freedom. It helps people stop treating temporary difficulties like permanent disasters. Many people become trapped inside problems because they mentally resist them so strongly. They replay painful situations over and over again inside their mind. They keep feeding stress with more thoughts, more fear, and more overthinking. And because of this resistance, suffering becomes heavier. But the Buddha taught that awareness softens suffering. The moment you step back and realize, this feeling is temporary, this situation will change, this moment will not last forever, your mind begins relaxing slightly. This does not mean pain disappears instantly. Buddhism never teaches people to deny emotions. Sadness, stress, grief, and difficulty are natural parts of human life. But suffering becomes much heavier when the mind convinces itself that painful moments are permanent. The Buddha understood that the mind often forgets how quickly life changes. Think about your past. There were moments you thought you would never recover from. Situations that felt impossible to survive emotionally. But somehow time continued moving forward. Life changed, you changed, the pain softened. And one day, what once felt unbearable became part of your story instead of your current reality. This is the nature of life. Everything flows. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same forever. This understanding creates patience during difficult moments. Instead of panicking immediately, the mindful person remembers that life is temporary by nature. The storm eventually passes. The emotion eventually fades. The difficult season eventually changes. Many people destroy their present peace because they cannot stop mentally living inside future fears. They spend years imagining terrible outcomes that never arrive. While worrying about tomorrow, they miss today completely. The Buddha taught that this is one of the saddest ways to live. To lose the present moment because of fear about a future that does not yet exist. Many people are sitting inside peaceful moments, while their mind creates unnecessary suffering. Their body is safe, but their thoughts are full of fear. Their life may contain beauty, opportunities, supportive people, and ordinary blessings, but anxiety prevents them from seeing any of it clearly. This is why the Buddha emphasized mindfulness so strongly. Mindfulness brings awareness back to reality instead of imagined fear. Right now, in this moment, many things may actually be okay, but the mind continues scanning for danger because it has become addicted to worrying. Modern life strengthens this mental habit. People are constantly exposed to stress, comparison, pressure, negativity, and endless information. Their nervous system rarely gets a chance to truly rest. Even when nothing bad is happening, The mind keeps preparing for something bad to happen. And slowly people forget how to feel calm. The Buddha taught that peace begins when the mind learns how to stop feeding unnecessary fear. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your belief. Not every problem deserves complete control over your peace. This understanding changes everything emotionally. You stop allowing temporary situations to completely destroy your inner balance. You begin seeing life more clearly, instead of through the lens of panic and overthinking. The Buddha often compared life to flowing water. A river never stays frozen in one place forever. The same is true for human life. Every moment moves, every season changes, every experience passes. Even the difficult moments you are currently afraid of will eventually become memory. One day, many of the things stressing you today will no longer matter at all. The opinions you feared, the mistakes you obsessed over, the situations that once felt overwhelming, time will carry most of them away. And when you realize this deeply, your heart becomes lighter. You stop taking every problem so personally. You stop reacting with panic to every uncomfortable emotion. You stop treating temporary pain as permanent truth. This is one of the deepest forms of wisdom in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that suffering grows strongest when people forget the temporary nature of life. Everything changes eventually. This truth can feel painful at first, but it also creates tremendous freedom. Because if pain is temporary, then hope remains possible. If difficult moments are temporary, then peace can return. If life constantly changes, then healing is always possible too. Many people become emotionally trapped because they believe their current struggle defines their entire existence. But Buddhism teaches that no emotional state lasts forever. Even sadness changes, even fear changes, even loneliness changes. The mind often says, "This feeling will never end." But the Buddha taught that feelings are like weather passing through the sky. Some days are stormy, some days are calm, but no weather lasts forever. This understanding creates emotional resilience. You stop becoming hopeless every time life becomes difficult. Instead, you begin trusting the natural movement of life itself. The Buddha understood that peace does not come from avoiding all pain. Peace comes from understanding the nature of life so deeply that fear loses some of its control over the mind. When awareness grows, life feels different. You stop rushing so much. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. You stop wasting years mentally fighting temporary situations. And slowly, gratitude begins growing again. You begin appreciating moments instead of constantly worrying about losing them. A quiet evening feels meaningful. A calm conversation feels valuable. A peaceful moment feels beautiful, because deep down you understand that nothing lasts forever. And strangely, this understanding makes life feel more precious instead of less. The Buddha taught that impermanence is what gives life beauty. A sunset matters because it fades. Flowers matter because they bloom briefly. Life matters because time is limited. If everything lasted forever, people would never appreciate anything deeply. But because moments disappear, they become sacred. This is why mindfulness matters so much. The mindful person experiences life more deeply because they understand how temporary every moment truly is. They stop taking ordinary things for granted. The sound of someone's voice becomes valuable. Moments with loved ones become valuable. Silence becomes valuable. Health becomes valuable. Awareness transforms ordinary life into something meaningful. The Buddha taught that most people wait too long before appreciating life properly. Only after loss do they understand love. Only after stress do they appreciate peace. Only after sickness do they appreciate health. But mindfulness allows people to wake up before life forces them to. Many people are chasing future happiness while ignoring present beauty. They tell themselves, "I'll finally enjoy life later." But later is never guaranteed. This moment is life. This breath is life. This ordinary day is life. The Buddha taught that the present moment deserves awareness because it never returns again exactly the same way. One day, this version of your life will no longer exist. The people around you will change. Your current routines will change. Your current struggles will change. Everything will eventually move forward. And because of this, every ordinary moment becomes precious. Many people are emotionally absent from their own lives because they believe beauty exists somewhere else. But often, beauty already exists quietly around them. The problem is not always life itself. The problem is that fear, stress, and overthinking block awareness from seeing clearly. The Buddha taught that the moment awareness returns, life begins feeling beautiful again. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because the mind stops drowning in unnecessary suffering. One day, you will look back and realize many of the things you worried about so deeply did not deserve the amount of peace you sacrificed for them. You will realize how many beautiful moments existed while your mind was trapped inside fear. The peaceful mornings, the ordinary conversations, the simple moments of calm, the people who cared about you. These things mattered far more than most of the worries controlling your thoughts. The Buddha wanted people to understand this before reaching the end of life, because at the end, most people will not wish they worried more. They will wish they appreciated more, loved more, lived more fully, stayed present more often. That is why Buddhism teaches awareness, mindfulness, and acceptance so deeply. Because life becomes lighter when the mind stops turning temporary problems into permanent suffering. And when the mind finally becomes calm enough to truly see life clearly, something powerful happens. You realize that even during imperfect seasons, life still contained beauty. The beauty was always there. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 14. Before your life becomes a memory, wake up and notice how precious it is. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that human life is incredibly fragile and temporary. Yet most people live as though they have endless time. They move through life distracted, stressed, rushed, and emotionally absent, believing there will always be another chance to slow down later, another opportunity to appreciate life later, another moment to finally feel grateful later. But one day, later never comes, and this is one of the deepest tragedies of human existence. People often wait until life begins disappearing before they finally realize how beautiful it always was. The Buddha understood that human beings take ordinary life for granted because they assume it will always remain available. People wake up every morning without realizing that even another ordinary day is not guaranteed forever. The peaceful mornings, the sound of loved ones laughing, the comfort of home, the ability to walk, breathe, rest, and experience another day. These things quietly feel normal until one day life changes and suddenly they become priceless. Many people spend years chasing things they believe are more important than the present moment. They chase money, status, approval, perfection, and endless goals while overlooking the simple beauty already surrounding them. The Buddha taught that the mind becomes blind when it is constantly consumed by craving and distraction. A distracted mind cannot fully appreciate life. It rushes through moments without awareness. It turns ordinary blessings into invisible things. It constantly searches for happiness somewhere else. And because of this endless searching, people fail to realize they are already standing inside the very life they once prayed for. Think about how many things you currently overlook that one day you may deeply miss. Right now, there may be people in your life whose presence feels ordinary because you assume they will always be there. There may be peaceful routines that feel boring because you experience them every day. There may be simple moments of comfort that your mind ignores completely because it is too focused on stress and future worries. But the Buddha taught that nothing remains forever, everything changes. People age, children grow up, relationships shift, bodies weaken, moments disappear, and one day the ordinary life you barely noticed becomes memory. This is why mindfulness is so important in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to wake up emotionally before life forces them to wake up through pain or loss. Most people do not realize the value of something while they still have it. A healthy person often forgets the gift of health until sickness arrives. A person surrounded by loved ones forgets the blessing of connection until loneliness appears. A peaceful season feels unimportant until chaos enters life. Only then does the heart finally understand how precious ordinary life truly was. The Buddha taught that awareness transforms ordinary existence into something sacred. When awareness grows, you begin seeing things differently. You stop rushing through moments unconsciously. You stop treating life like something guaranteed forever. You stop believing happiness exists only in the future. And suddenly, ordinary moments begin feeling deeply meaningful. A calm evening becomes peaceful. A simple conversation becomes valuable. A quiet walk becomes healing. A moment of silence becomes beautiful. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became present enough to notice. Many people spend their entire lives preparing for happiness instead of actually living. They constantly tell themselves, "I'll finally relax later. I'll enjoy life after I become successful. I'll feel peaceful once my problems disappear." But the Buddha taught that if the mind cannot appreciate life now, it will continue finding reasons to remain dissatisfied later. Because the rest mind always moves the finish line. Even after achieving goals, the mind quickly creates new worries, new fears, and new desires. This is why many people who appear successful externally still feel emotionally exhausted internally. The external world changed, but the condition of the mind remained restless. The Buddha understood that true peace does not come from endlessly fixing external life. Peace comes from transforming awareness itself. A peaceful mind experiences life differently. It notices beauty more easily. It appreciates simple things deeply. It does not require constant excitement to feel alive. But modern life trains people to ignore simplicity. Society constantly tells people they need bigger achievements, bigger success, bigger lifestyles, and endless productivity before their life becomes meaningful. Because of this pressure, many people become disconnected from ordinary beauty. Silence feels uncomfortable. Rest feels lazy. Stillness feels unproductive, so people keep distracting themselves constantly. Phones, noise, entertainment, social media, comparison, anything to avoid slowing down long enough to truly feel life. But the Buddha taught that endless distraction creates unconscious living. People become so mentally busy that they stop noticing the world around them. They eat without awareness, walk without awareness, speak without awareness, live without awareness, and years disappear this way. One of the saddest realizations many people experience later in life is understanding how much beauty existed during moments they barely appreciated. The ordinary mornings they rushed through, the family conversations they barely listened to, the peaceful evenings they ignored because their mind was trapped in stress. All of these moments quietly become memories. The Buddha taught that impermanence is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create gratitude. Because life is temporary, every moment becomes more valuable. A sunset matters because it fades. Flowers matter because they bloom briefly. Human life matters because time is limited. If people truly understood how temporary everything is, they would stop wasting so much energy on meaningless stress. Many people sacrifice their peace for things that will not even matter years later. They overthink small opinions. They obsess over mistakes. They mentally suffer over imagined futures. And while doing this, they fail to appreciate the life happening directly in front of them. The Buddha taught that the anxious mind often lives everywhere except the present moment. Some people live inside regret. Others live inside fear. Others live inside comparison. Very few people truly live inside now, but now is where life exists, not yesterday, not only now. This breath matters, this moment matters, this ordinary day matters. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. But many people move through life like sleepwalkers emotionally. Their habits control them. Their fears control them. Their thoughts control them. They rarely stop long enough to ask themselves, am I truly living? Am I actually noticing my life? Or am I just surviving mentally every day? These are difficult questions, but they awaken awareness. The Buddha understood that awakening often begins when people finally become tired of unconscious suffering. They become tired of constant stress, constant fear, constant chasing, and endless emotional exhaustion. And slowly, they begin searching for something deeper. Not more achievement, not more distraction. Peace. real peace, the kind of peace that exists when the mind finally becomes quiet enough to appreciate life properly. The Buddha taught that peace is not hidden somewhere far away. It already exists beneath mental noise, but the mind is usually too distracted to notice it. Many people are sitting inside beautiful moments while mentally destroying those moments with unnecessary worry. Their body is present, but their thoughts are somewhere else completely. This is why mindfulness changes everything. Mindfulness reconnects people with reality itself. Suddenly, you begin noticing small, beautiful things again. The sound of rain becomes calming. Fresh air feels healing. The sky looks beautiful again. Silence no longer feels empty. Life begins feeling softer, not because problems disappeared overnight, but because awareness returned. The Buddha taught that suffering decreases when awareness increases. This happens because awareness interrupts unconscious mental habits. You stop automatically feeding every fearful thought. You stop carrying future problems into peaceful moments. You stop allowing stress to completely consume your awareness, and slowly life becomes visible again. Many people are waiting for one huge life-changing event before allowing themselves to feel grateful. But Buddhism teaches that life itself is already the miracle. Another morning is a miracle. Another breath is a miracle. Another chance to experience life is a miracle. But the distracted mind overlooks these things because it is obsessed with chasing something else. This is why gratitude is so powerful in Buddhism. Gratitude brings awareness back to what already exists instead of constantly focusing on what is missing. The grateful mind experiences life differently. It notices beauty more naturally. It appreciates people more deeply. It treats ordinary moments as valuable, not because life is perfect, but because awareness is awake. The Buddha taught that happiness is often hidden inside simplicity. A calm meal, a peaceful conversation, a quiet moment of rest, a sincere connection with another person. These things may appear ordinary, but together they create a meaningful life. The problem is that most people are too mentally busy to experience them fully. They are always rushing toward the next thing. But one day, many people will realize that the life they kept postponing was actually their real life. The ordinary moments they ignored were the moments that mattered most. The people they took for granted were the people who made life meaningful. The quiet days they called boring were actually peaceful days they would later miss deeply. This realization changes the heart. The Buddha wanted people to understand this before reaching the end of life, because at the end, most people will not wish they spent more time worrying. They will wish they stayed present more often, loved more deeply, appreciated ordinary moments more fully, stopped rushing through life so much. Many people spend years trying to control life perfectly without realizing that life was never meant to be controlled completely. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. There will always be difficult moments. But there will also always be beauty. And the mindful person learns how to notice that beauty even during imperfect seasons of life. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. Life does not become meaningful because everything goes perfectly. Life becomes meaningful because awareness transforms ordinary existence into something precious. The moment you stop taking life for granted, everything begins feeling different. You breathe differently. You observe differently. You appreciate differently. Even simple moments begin feeling sacred because you understand they will never exist exactly the same way again. The Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly, seeing how temporary everything is, seeing how precious ordinary moments are, seeing how much beauty existed while the mind was distracted by fear. One day your current life will become memory. The people around you will change. The routines you have now will change. Even the version of yourself listening to these words right now will eventually disappear. And because of this truth, every ordinary moment matters deeply. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally appreciating it. Do not spend your entire existence trapped inside worry while life quietly passes by. Slow down. Notice the people around you. Notice the peace hidden inside small moments. Notice the beauty that still exists even during difficult seasons. Because one day, you may realize that the life you kept waiting to enjoy was already happening the entire time. Life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 15. The life you keep searching for is already happening right now. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that one of the greatest illusions of the human mind is believing that life truly begins somewhere in the future. Many people unconsciously live as if the present moment is only preparation for some better life that will finally arrive later. They believe happiness will begin after success. Peace will begin after problems disappear. Rest will begin after they achieve more. Joy will begin after life finally becomes perfect. But the Buddha understood something most people fail to realize until much later. The future never truly arrives in the way the mind imagines. When one problem disappears, another appears. When one goal is achieved, the mind creates another desire. The finish line keeps moving endlessly because the restless mind always searches for something else. And while people continue chasing this imagined future happiness, real life quietly passes by unnoticed. This is one of the deepest forms of suffering in Buddhism. To spend your whole life mentally waiting to live. Many people do not realize that the moments they are currently ignoring are actually their real life. The ordinary mornings, the quiet evenings, the small conversations, the peaceful moments of silence. These things are not interruptions before life begins. They are life itself. But the distracted mind keeps saying, "Not yet. Things are not good enough yet. I'll finally relax later." And because of this endless postponing, people lose years without ever truly feeling present. The Buddha taught that the mind creates suffering when it becomes emotionally attached to an imagined future instead of appreciating present reality. Think about how many moments you have already missed because your mind was somewhere else. Maybe you were sitting with family while worrying about work. Maybe you were walking outside while mentally replaying stress. Maybe there were peaceful moments all around you, but anxiety prevented you from fully experiencing them. This happens because the human mind is rarely satisfied with the present moment. It constantly searches for improvement, control, certainty, and future happiness. But Buddhism teaches that peace cannot exist inside a mind that is always mentally escaping the present. The Buddha taught that awareness is the doorway to truly living. Without awareness, people move through life unconsciously. They repeat the same stressful patterns every day. Wake up worried, rush through responsibilities, overthink constantly, chase more, compare constantly, sleep exhausted, repeat again, and eventually years disappear. Many people reach later stages of life and suddenly realize how quickly everything passed. Childhood feels distant. Old memories feel unreal. People they once spoke to every day slowly become strangers or disappear completely. And only then does the heart finally understand how precious ordinary moments truly were. The Buddha taught that impermanence is meant to awaken gratitude. Because nothing lasts forever. Every moment matters more deeply. A conversation matters. A peaceful day matters. A simple moment of rest matters. But most people do not notice these things while they still exist because their awareness is trapped inside future worries and endless mental noise. Modern life makes this even worse. Society constantly trains people to believe they are behind in life. People are pressured to achieve more, earn more, become more, and prove more. And because of this pressure, people begin treating ordinary life as meaningless. Silence feels boring. Rest feels unproductive. Simple moments feel unimportant. So the mind continues chasing stimulation constantly. Phones, entertainment, comparison, endless goals, anything to avoid slowing down long enough to fully experience life. But the Buddha taught that endless distraction disconnects people from themselves. A distracted mind cannot experience peace deeply. This is why many people feel emotionally empty, even when their life contains beauty. The beauty exists, but awareness is missing. The Buddha compared the mind to muddy water. When water is constantly disturbed, it cannot reflect clearly. But when water becomes still, clarity naturally appears. The same is true for the human mind. When the mind is constantly disturbed by fear, craving, and distraction, life feels heavy and confusing. But when the mind becomes calm, life suddenly begins feeling meaningful again. Nothing outside necessarily changes. The world remains imperfect. Problems still exist. Uncertainty still exists. But awareness changes the experience of life completely. The Buddha taught that happiness is not hidden somewhere far away. Happiness is often hidden beneath mental noise. Once the noise decreases, beauty becomes visible again. The beauty of silence, the beauty of nature, the beauty of simple human connection, the beauty of breathing peacefully for one quiet moment. These things may appear small, but they carry deep meaning for the mindful person. Many people spend years searching for extraordinary experiences while overlooking the extraordinary beauty hidden inside ordinary existence. The Buddha understood that a peaceful mind experiences life differently from a restless mind. A peaceful mind notices beauty naturally. A restless mind notices only problems. This is why two people can experience completely different emotional realities while living similar lives. One person constantly complains, worries, and compares. The other notices peace, gratitude, and meaning in small moments. The external world may look similar, but the condition of the mind changes everything. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. The mind shapes the way life feels. Many people believe life itself is the source of their suffering. But often, the deeper problem is unconscious thinking. The mind creates endless stories. Life is not enough. I am behind. I need more before I can relax. I cannot feel peaceful until everything is fixed. And because these thoughts are repeated constantly, people begin believing them completely. But the Buddha taught that thoughts are not always truth. The anxious mind exaggerates danger. The restless mind exaggerates dissatisfaction. The fearful mind exaggerates problems. Mindfulness teaches people to observe these thoughts instead of becoming controlled by them automatically. This creates freedom. You begin realizing that not every thought deserves your belief. Not every fear deserves your energy. Not every problem deserves complete control over your peace. And slowly the mind becomes lighter. The Buddha taught that awakening begins the moment people stop living unconsciously. Suddenly, you begin noticing life again. The warmth of sunlight feels calming. A peaceful room feels comforting. A quiet morning feels meaningful. Things that once felt ordinary suddenly begin feeling beautiful. Not because life changed overnight, but because awareness returned. Many people are so focused on chasing future happiness that they fail to realize happiness was already quietly surrounding them. The life they keep searching for is often already happening. The peaceful moments they ignore, the people who care about them, the quiet beauty of ordinary days, these things are life. But the ego constantly says, "This is not enough. You need something bigger. You will finally be happy later." The Buddha understood that the ego survives through dissatisfaction. It keeps people mentally restless so they continue chasing endlessly. But mindfulness interrupts this cycle. Mindfulness brings awareness back to now. And now is where life exists, not tomorrow, not after success, not after perfection arrives now. This breath matters. This ordinary day matters. This conversation matters. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. Many people move through life emotionally asleep. Their habits control them. Their fears control them. Their cravings control them. But awareness creates awakening. Suddenly, you begin asking deeper questions. Why am I rushing through life so much? Why am I sacrificing peace for things that may not even matter later? Why am I mentally absent from moments that could become precious memories? These questions create transformation, because slowly, you begin realizing that life was never waiting for perfection to become meaningful. Life was already happening. The Buddha taught that many people waste years trying to become someone else instead of fully experiencing who they already are. Comparison steals gratitude. Endless ambition steals presence. Fear steals peace. And because of this, people fail to experience the beauty already available inside ordinary existence. Many people believe happiness must look dramatic. But Buddhism teaches that real peace often feels quiet. A calm breath, a peaceful evening, a moment without anxiety, a genuine connection with another person. These things carry tremendous value, but only the aware mind notices them deeply. The Buddha taught that gratitude naturally grows when awareness grows. You stop taking simple things for granted. You stop assuming life will always remain the same. You stop postponing peace endlessly. And suddenly your heart softens. The pressure decreases. The rushing slows down. Life begins feeling more meaningful. Many people are emotionally exhausted, not because life is impossible, but because the mind never stops fighting reality. It constantly wants life to move faster, improve faster, become easier faster. But life unfolds naturally. The Buddha compared life to flowing water. Water does not force itself. It moves naturally with time. But human beings resist everything. They resist uncertainty. They resist change. They resist uncomfortable emotions. And because of this resistance, suffering becomes heavier. The mindful person learns acceptance instead, not passive surrender, but peaceful understanding, understanding that life was never meant to be controlled perfectly. There will always be difficult moments. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be imperfect seasons. But there will also always be beauty, the beauty of human connection, the beauty of silence, the beauty of simply being alive. And the moment the mind becomes calm enough to truly notice these things, life begins feeling beautiful again. This is why the Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly, seeing how precious ordinary moments truly are, seeing how much beauty existed while the mind was distracted, seeing that happiness was never hidden somewhere far away. It was hidden inside awareness all along. One day your current life will become memory. The ordinary moments you overlook today may become the moments you miss most later. The quiet mornings, the peaceful evenings, the people around you right now, all of it is temporary. And because it is temporary, it is deeply valuable. Do not spend your entire existence waiting for life to begin later. Life is already happening, right now. The Buddha taught that the greatest tragedy is not death itself. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of life and realizing you were too distracted to truly experience the beauty that was surrounding you the entire time. Do not wait for that realization. Become present now. Notice life now. Because the life you keep searching for is not hidden somewhere in the future. It is already here. And life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 16. When the mind becomes quiet, you finally see how beautiful life really is. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that the world people experience is deeply shaped by the condition of their own mind. Two people can walk through the same life and experience it completely differently. One person sees beauty, peace, gratitude, and meaning. The other sees stress, fear, emptiness, and suffering. The difference is not always the world itself. The difference is the state of the mind. A restless mind cannot fully experience peace. A fearful mind cannot clearly see beauty. A distracted mind cannot deeply experience life. This is why the Buddha focused so much on calming the mind, instead of endlessly changing external circumstances. Many people spend their entire time trying to fix the outside world, while never learning how to understand the chaos inside themselves. They believe happiness depends completely on future success, perfect situations, and external control. But even after achieving goals, many still feel restless. Why? Because the mind itself never learned stillness. The Buddha understood that the uncontrolled mind constantly creates suffering automatically. It jumps from one fear to another fear, one desire to another desire, one worry to another worry. Even during peaceful moments, the mind searches for problems. This is why many people no longer know how to simply sit quietly and feel okay. Silence feels uncomfortable because silence exposes how noisy the mind truly is. The mind keeps replaying mistakes, imagining future disasters, comparing itself to others, searching for validation, creating pressure. And because of this endless inner noise, people slowly become disconnected from life itself. Many people think their suffering is caused entirely by life. but often the deeper problem is that the mind never rests. The Buddha taught that peace begins the moment the mind slows down enough to experience the present clearly, not the imagined future, not the painful past, the present. But most people rarely stay mentally present for long. While eating, they worry about tomorrow. While speaking with loved ones, they think about work and stress. While resting, they feel guilty for not being productive enough. The body is present, but the awareness is somewhere else. And because of this, people miss the life happening directly in front of them. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path back to reality. Mindfulness is not complicated. It simply means becoming fully aware of the present moment, instead of constantly drowning inside unconscious thought. When awareness returns, something incredible begins happening. Life starts feeling alive again. Simple moments begin carrying beauty. The sound of birds becomes calming. The wind feels peaceful. Silence begins feeling comforting instead of empty. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became quiet enough to finally notice what was already there. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. Life was never completely empty. The mind was simply too noisy to experience it properly. Modern life constantly overstimulates the human mind. People are surrounded by endless noise every day. Phones, social media, pressure, news, comparison, and non-stop information keep the mind in a constant state of activity. Very few people ever experience true stillness anymore. Even during rest, the mind remains busy. And because the mind never slows down, many people feel emotionally exhausted without understanding why. The Buddha understood that the human nervous system was never meant to carry endless mental noise all day long. This is why meditation is so important in Buddhism. Meditation is not about escaping life. It is about reconnecting with life. It teaches people how to sit quietly without constantly chasing thought after thought. It trains the mind to observe instead of react automatically. At first, many people struggle with stillness because they finally notice how restless their mind truly is. But slowly, with awareness, the mind becomes calmer. And inside that calmness, peace naturally appears. Not temporary excitement, not fake positivity, real inner peace. The Buddha taught that peace already exists beneath mental noise. But people must become still enough to experience it. Many people are emotionally drowning in thoughts all day long. They believe every fear the mind creates. They react emotionally to every negative thought. They allow imagined future problems to destroy present peace. And because of this, even beautiful moments feel heavy. Think about how many peaceful experiences you may have ruined because your mind would not stop worrying. A calm evening becomes stressful because the mind imagines future problems. A beautiful moment with loved ones becomes distracted because thoughts keep racing. A quiet morning becomes heavy because the mind immediately starts replaying fears and responsibilities. This is what the uncontrolled mind does. It pulls awareness away from reality and traps people inside unnecessary suffering. The Buddha taught that most suffering is not created by the present moment itself. It is created by resistance, overthinking, fear, and unconscious mental habits. The mind creates stories constantly. What if I fail? What if things get worse? What if I lose everything? What if I am not enough? And because people repeat these thoughts endlessly, anxiety grows stronger. But mindfulness changes the relationship with thought itself. You begin realizing, a thought is just a thought. Not every fear is truth. Not every emotion needs complete control over my peace. This creates emotional freedom. The Buddha taught that awareness creates space between you and your thoughts. Instead of immediately becoming trapped by fear, you begin observing thoughts more calmly. And slowly the mind becomes quieter. When the mind quiets down, life begins feeling softer again. You stop rushing constantly. You stop mentally fighting reality every second. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight all day long. And suddenly, small moments begin feeling meaningful again. The Buddha often used nature as a teacher. A lake becomes clear only when the water becomes still. In the same way, the human mind becomes clear only when inner noise decreases. A constantly disturbed mind cannot see life properly. This is why many people fail to notice how much beauty still exists around them. They are too mentally distracted. The beauty of ordinary life is quiet. It does not scream for attention. A peaceful morning is quiet. A loving conversation is quiet. A calm moment of rest is quiet. But the noisy mind overlooks quiet beauty because it constantly searches for stimulation and problems instead. The Buddha taught that the mindful person experiences life more deeply because awareness is fully present. They notice beauty in ordinary things. They feel gratitude naturally. They appreciate moments while they still exist, not because their life is perfect, but because their awareness is awake. Many people spend years searching for meaning somewhere far away, while completely ignoring the meaning hidden inside ordinary existence. The Buddha understood that true peace is often simple, not dramatic, not complicated, simple. A calm breath, a quiet room, a peaceful heart, a moment without fear. These things become deeply valuable once the mind finally slows down enough to appreciate them. Many people believe happiness must always feel intense and exciting. But Buddhism teaches that real peace often feels very gentle. It feels like calmness, like emotional lightness, like finally being fully present instead of mentally escaping life constantly. The Buddha taught that the ego constantly creates noise because it survives through craving and dissatisfaction. It always says, "This moment is not enough. You need something bigger. You need more success, more control, more validation." And because people continuously obey this inner voice, they never feel fully satisfied. But mindfulness weakens the ego. The more awareness grows, the less power endless craving has over the mind. You stop needing constant stimulation to feel alive. You stop chasing approval so desperately. You stop allowing every small problem to destroy your peace. And slowly, contentment begins growing inside you. This changes the entire experience of life. Ordinary moments begin feeling rich emotionally. The warmth of tea feels comforting. Fresh air feels healing. A quiet walk feels meaningful. These moments were always available. The mind was simply too distracted to experience them properly before. The Buddha taught that many people are physically alive, but spiritually asleep. They move through routines automatically every day without awareness. Their mind is trapped inside habits, fear, and endless mental noise. But mindfulness creates awakening. Suddenly, life becomes visible again. The sky looks beautiful again. Nature feels calming again. Silence feels peaceful again. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because awareness returned. This is why the Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly. Seeing how much beauty existed while the mind was distracted. Seeing how many peaceful moments were ignored because of endless worrying. Many people are waiting for the world to become peaceful before allowing themselves to feel calm. But Buddhism teaches the opposite. The world may never become fully peaceful. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be difficult moments. There will always be change. But inner peace is still possible. Because peace does not come from controlling life perfectly. Peace comes from understanding the mind. When the mind becomes calm, life feels lighter. You stop overreacting emotionally to every problem. You stop carrying future fears into peaceful moments. You stop mentally exhausting yourself with endless overthinking. And suddenly, life begins feeling beautiful again. Not because every problem disappeared overnight, but because the mind finally stopped drowning in unnecessary noise. The Buddha taught that happiness is not hidden somewhere far away in the future. It already exists inside awareness, inside presence, in stillness, inside gratitude. But people rarely experience this, because they fancy of a need somewhere else all the time. This is why mindfulness matters so deeply. Mindfulness brings people back to life itself, back to this breath, this moment, this ordinary day. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. Many people spend their whole lives physically existing without truly experiencing life deeply. But the mindful person experiences life differently. They notice beauty while it still exists. They appreciate people while they are still here. They slow down enough to feel alive. And because of this, life becomes meaningful again. One day, many people will realize they spent too much time worrying and not enough time truly living. They will realize they sacrificed peaceful moments for fears that never even happened. They will realize happiness was quietly available in ordinary moments they overlooked completely. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that regret. Because life itself is already precious. Another breath is precious. Another sunrise is precious. Another moment with loved ones is precious. But only the quiet mind can fully see that truth. And when the mind finally becomes calm enough to truly experience the present moment, something incredible happens. Life begins feeling beautiful again. Not because life became perfect, but because awareness finally returned. And the moment awareness returns, the heart understands something deeply powerful. Life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 17. Stop running through life. This moment will never come again. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that one of the greatest mistakes human beings make is believing they have unlimited time. Because people assume there will always be another tomorrow. They rush through the present moment carelessly. They postpone peace, postpone gratitude, postpone happiness, and postpone truly living. But the truth is simple and deeply painful. This exact moment will never exist again. The people around you right now will never be exactly the same again. The version of yourself listening to these words right now will never exist again. Even today, with all its ordinary details, is quietly disappearing forever. Yet most people barely notice life while it is happening. The Buddha understood that human beings are often mentally absent from their own existence. Their body moves through life, but their awareness remains trapped somewhere else completely. Some people live inside regret. Others live inside anxiety. Others live inside endless comparison and pressure. Very few people truly live inside the present moment. And because of this, life begins feeling empty and exhausting. Think about how quickly time has already passed. Childhood disappeared. Certain friendships disappeared. Old routines disappeared. Entire seasons of life vanished quietly. At one point, many of those moments felt permanent, but now they exist only as memory. The Buddha taught that this is the nature of life. Everything changes constantly. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. But instead of allowing this truth to create gratitude, most people allow it to create unconscious living. They rush even faster, worry even more, chase even harder. And while doing this, they completely overlook the beauty of the present moment. Many people wake up every morning already mentally exhausted. Before the day even begins, the mind starts racing. What do I need to do? What problems might happen? What if things go wrong? What if I fail? And because the mind immediately enters survival mode, people fail to notice that life is already happening around them. The sky outside, the peaceful silence, the people they love, the simple gift of another day. These things become invisible to the distracted mind. The Buddha taught that most suffering is not caused by the present moment itself. It is caused by the mind constantly escaping the present moment. People are either reliving the past or fearing the future. While eating, they worry. While resting, they overthink. While spending time with loved ones, their attention is trapped somewhere else. And because awareness is absent, life quietly passes by unnoticed. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism. You cannot truly experience life while mentally running away from it. Many people spend years waiting for life to become more meaningful. They believe happiness exists somewhere ahead of them, somewhere after success, after healing, after perfection. But the Buddha taught that this endless chasing creates suffering because the mind never arrives fully in the present moment. The future becomes an emotional addiction. People keep telling themselves, I'll finally slow down later. I'll appreciate life more later. I'll rest after everything is fixed. But later keeps moving further away, and suddenly years are gone. The Buddha understood that people often fail to appreciate life because they treat ordinary moments as unimportant. They believe only dramatic achievements and huge experiences deserve attention. But Buddhism teaches the opposite. Life is mostly made of small moments: a peaceful morning, a simple conversation, a quiet walk, a moment of calm after stress. These moments may appear ordinary, but together they become an entire life. And one day, these ordinary moments become memories people desperately wish they could experience one more time. This is why mindfulness matters so deeply. Mindfulness teaches people to stop rushing unconsciously through existence and finally experience what is already here. When awareness returns, life begins feeling different. You notice things again: the warmth of sunlight, the sound of rain, the calmness of silence, the comfort of another breath. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became present enough to notice. The Buddha taught that awareness transforms ordinary existence into something sacred. But modern life constantly pulls people away from awareness. Society rewards busyness, stress, and endless productivity. People are praised for being constantly occupied and mentally overwhelmed. Rest feels guilty. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels unfamiliar. So people continue distracting themselves every second. Phones, social media, entertainment, comparison, noise, anything to avoid slowing down long enough to face the present moment. But the Buddha taught that endless distraction disconnects people from life itself. A distracted mind cannot experience peace deeply. This is why so many people feel emotionally numb even while surrounded by beauty. The beauty exists, but awareness is missing. Many people are physically present but emotionally absent. They move through routines automatically without truly noticing their own life. And this unconscious living slowly steals joy from the heart. The Buddha taught that true living begins the moment awareness returns. Not awareness of the future, not awareness of endless fear. Awareness of now. This breath matters, this moment matters, this ordinary day matters. Many people assume they will always have more time to appreciate life later. But Buddhism teaches that life is uncertain. No one knows how many ordinary moments remain. This truth is not meant to create panic. It is meant to awaken gratitude. Because when you realize moments are temporary, you stop taking them for granted. A conversation becomes valuable. A peaceful evening becomes meaningful. A quiet moment with someone you love becomes priceless. The Buddha taught that impermanence gives life beauty. Flowers matter because they fade. Sunsets matter because they disappear. Human life matters because it does not last forever. If everything lasted permanently, people would never appreciate anything deeply. But because life constantly changes, every moment becomes precious. Many people realize this truth too late. Only after losing someone do they understand how valuable simple conversations once were. Only after difficult seasons arrive do they appreciate peaceful ordinary days. Only after life changes do they finally understand how beautiful the past truly was. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching those regrets. Because one day, everything happening right now will become memory. The room you are sitting in right now will one day become part of the past. The people around you right now will change. Your current routines, your current struggles, even your current identity will eventually shift. Nothing stays frozen forever. And because of this, awareness matters deeply. Many people waste years mentally fighting life instead of experiencing it. They constantly demand perfection from reality. They want certainty in an uncertain world. They want guarantees that nothing painful will happen. But life was never meant to be controlled completely. There will always be change. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be difficult moments. But there will also always be beauty. And the mindful person learns how to notice that beauty even during imperfect seasons. The Buddha taught that peace does not come from controlling every circumstance perfectly. Peace comes from fully arriving in the present moment without constant resistance. This changes the way life feels emotionally. The pressure decreases, the rushing slows down, the heart becomes softer. Suddenly, small moments begin feeling meaningful again. A cup of tea feels calming, fresh air feels healing. A simple moment of silence feels peaceful. These things were always available. The mind was simply too distracted to notice them before. Many people believe they need a completely different life before they can finally feel happy. But often, What they truly need is a different relationship with the present moment. Because when awareness changes, life changes. The Buddha taught that the restless mind always searches for happiness somewhere else. This moment is not enough. You need more. You are behind. These thoughts create endless dissatisfaction. And because people continuously believe these thoughts, they never fully relax into life. But mindfulness interrupts this cycle. You begin realizing, I do not need to destroy peaceful moments with unnecessary fear. I do not need to postpone happiness endlessly. I do not need perfection before allowing myself to feel alive. And slowly, gratitude returns. The Buddha taught that gratitude is one of the most powerful forms of awakening because it reconnects people with reality. Instead of focusing only on what is missing, awareness begins noticing what already exists. Another breath exists. Another sunrise exists. Another opportunity to experience life exists. These things matter more than people realize. Many people are waiting for giant life-changing experiences while completely ignoring the quiet beauty of ordinary existence. But the truth is, life is happening now, not after success, not after perfection, now. The Buddha taught that one conscious moment is more valuable than years spent living unconsciously. But most people move through life emotionally asleep. Their thoughts control them automatically. Their fears control them automatically. Their habits control them automatically. And because of this, they miss life while trying to survive it. Mindfulness creates awakening. Suddenly the world feels alive again. Nature looks beautiful again. Silence feels peaceful again. Simple moments feel meaningful again. Not because life suddenly became perfect, but because awareness returned. This is why the Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally seeing life clearly enough to appreciate it while it still exists. Seeing how precious ordinary moments truly are. Seeing how much beauty existed while the mind was distracted by fear. Seeing how quickly time moves. Many people spend their entire existence mentally running toward the future, without realizing they are running past their own life. But one day the running stops, and many people finally realize they were too distracted to fully experience the moments that mattered most. The peaceful mornings, the ordinary conversations, the people they loved, the quiet moments of calm. These things were life itself. The Buddha wanted people to understand this before reaching the end of life. Because at the end, most people will not regret failing to become perfect. They will regret not staying present enough to fully live. They will regret how much beauty they overlooked because the mind was too busy worrying. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally waking up. Slow down now. Notice this moment now. Notice the people around you now. Notice the beauty hidden inside ordinary life now. Because this moment will never come again. And life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. 18. The day you stop overthinking is the day you start truly living in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that the human mind is capable of creating enormous suffering, even in moments where peace is already available. Many people are not destroyed by reality itself. They are destroyed by endless thinking about reality. The mind constantly analyzes, worries, predicts, fears, compares, and replays situations over and over again. Because of this, people become trapped inside their thoughts instead of fully experiencing life itself. And slowly, overthinking steals peace from the heart. The Buddha understood that an uncontrolled mind behaves like a storm. It moves endlessly from one thought to another without rest. One small fear becomes 100 fearful thoughts. One mistake becomes endless regret. One uncertain situation becomes emotional chaos. And because people continuously believe every thought their mind creates, they become exhausted. Many people are physically tired, not because life is impossible, but because the mind never stops talking. Even during peaceful moments, the mind continues creating noise. While resting, it worries about tomorrow. While spending time with loved ones, it thinks about problems. While trying to sleep, it replays fears and stress. The body may be safe, but the mind remains trapped in survival mode. This is one of the deepest forms of suffering in Buddhism. to constantly live inside mental noise without ever experiencing true stillness. The Buddha taught that overthinking disconnects people from reality. Instead of experiencing life directly, they experience life through endless thought, and thought is often filled with fear. What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if life gets worse? The mind continuously imagines painful futures that may never even happen. And because of this, many people spend years suffering over imaginary situations. The Buddha taught that most suffering is created twice, first in the mind, then sometimes in reality. But often reality itself is far less painful than the fear people create beforehand. Think about how many moments you ruined because of overthinking. Maybe there was a peaceful day, but your thoughts made it stressful. Maybe there was a beautiful opportunity to feel grateful, but the mind kept focusing on fear instead. Maybe there were moments of calmness around you, but your mind refused to stop searching for problems. This is what overthinking does. It steals the present moment and replaces it with unnecessary mental suffering. The Buddha taught that the mind constantly searches for certainty because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Human beings want guarantees about the future. They want to know exactly how life will unfold. They want reassurance that nothing painful will happen. But life has never been fully predictable. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be change. There will always be things beyond human control. And the more the mind fights uncertainty, the more anxious it becomes. Many people spend their entire lives mentally trying to control things they cannot control. The opinions of others, future outcomes, unexpected situations, life itself. And because they cannot fully control these things, fear grows stronger. But the Buddha taught that peace begins when people stop trying to mentally control every part of life. This does not mean becoming careless or irresponsible. It means understanding that endless overthinking cannot protect you from life. Worrying for hours does not guarantee safety. Overanalyzing every possibility does not create peace. It only creates exhaustion. The Buddha understood that overthinking is often the mind's attempt to avoid uncertainty. The mind believes that if it keeps thinking long enough, it will eventually find complete control. But this control never truly arrives. Instead, people become trapped inside endless mental loops. One fear leads to another fear. One doubt creates another doubt. One anxious thought creates 10 more anxious thoughts. And slowly the mind loses its ability to rest. This is why so many people struggle to feel peace even during calm moments. The external world may be quiet, but internally the mind is still screaming. The Buddha taught that true peace does not come from solving every possible future problem. Peace comes from learning how to sit calmly inside uncertainty without allowing fear to consume awareness completely. This is one of the deepest lessons in Buddhism. Life was never meant to be controlled perfectly. It was meant to be experienced, but overthinking prevents experience. The overthinking mind rarely notices beauty because it is too busy searching for danger. It turns ordinary moments into stressful ones. It turns small situations into emotional burdens. A simple conversation becomes anxiety. A small mistake becomes self-hatred. An uncertain future becomes constant fear. And because of this, life begins feeling heavy. The Buddha taught that mindfulness frees people from this mental prison. Mindfulness teaches people to return to the present moment instead of endlessly drowning inside thought. Right now, in this exact moment, many things may actually be okay. You may be breathing peacefully. You may be physically safe. You may be surrounded by ordinary blessings. But the overthinking mind cannot experience these things because it is mentally living somewhere else. The Buddha taught that awareness interrupts unconscious thinking. Instead of immediately believing every fearful thought, you begin observing thoughts more calmly. You begin realizing a thought is not automatically truth. Fear is not always reality. Not every mental story deserves my energy. This understanding changes everything emotionally. The mind becomes lighter. The nervous system begins relaxing. Life starts feeling softer. Many people are addicted to overthinking without realizing it. They believe constant worry means they are being responsible or prepared. But Buddhism teaches that endless thinking without awareness only deepens suffering. A calm mind makes clearer decisions than a fearful mind. When the mind becomes quiet, clarity naturally appears. This is why meditation is so important in Buddhism. Meditation trains people to observe the mind without becoming trapped inside it. Instead of chasing every thought automatically, awareness learns how to stay present. At first, this feels difficult because most people have spent years living unconsciously inside thought. The mind keeps jumping endlessly, past, future, fear, regret, comparison. But slowly, with practice, stillness grows. And inside stillness, peace begins appearing naturally. The Buddha taught that peace is not hidden somewhere far away. It already exists beneath mental noise. But people must become quiet enough to experience it. Many people do not realize how much beauty overthinking steals from their life. The beauty of silence, the beauty of rest, the beauty of ordinary peaceful moments. The overthinking mind overlooks all of this because it constantly searches for the next problem. But when the mind finally becomes calm, life begins feeling beautiful again. A quiet morning feels healing, fresh air feels calming, a simple moment without anxiety feels meaningful. These things may appear small, but to the peaceful mind they become deeply valuable. The Buddha taught that happiness is often simple, but the restless mind complicates everything. The ego constantly says, "You are behind, you need more, you should worry more, you cannot relax yet." And because people continuously obey this inner voice, they remain emotionally exhausted. But mindfulness weakens the ego. The more awareness grows, the less control fear has over the mind. You stop reacting emotionally to every thought. You stop mentally fighting life every second. You stop allowing imagined futures to destroy present peace. And slowly, life becomes easier to breathe through. The Buddha often compared the mind to the sky. Thoughts are like clouds passing through it. Some clouds are dark, some are light, but none remain forever. The problem is that many people become trapped inside every cloud that appears. Every fear feels permanent. Every anxious thought feels completely real. But mindfulness teaches people to observe thoughts without becoming consumed by them. This creates emotional freedom. You begin understanding that peace is not created by controlling every thought perfectly. Peace is created by no longer becoming imprisoned by thought automatically. This understanding changes daily life completely. You stop overreacting to uncertainty. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. You stop mentally exhausting yourself with endless analysis. And suddenly, ordinary moments begin feeling alive again. Many people are physically present but emotionally absent because overthinking steals all of their awareness. The Buddha taught that awareness is life itself. Without awareness, people move through life unconsciously. Days disappear without being fully experienced. Moments pass without being noticed. But the mindful person experiences life differently. They notice beauty while it still exists. They appreciate peace while it is still available. They fully experience ordinary moments instead of mentally escaping them. And because of this, life feels meaningful again. The Buddha taught that the present moment is the only place where true peace can exist, not inside endless thought, not inside imagined futures here. Now, this breath matters, this moment matters. Many people are waiting for overthinking to completely disappear before allowing themselves to feel peaceful. But Buddhism teaches something different. Peace begins the moment awareness returns, even if thoughts still exist. The goal is not to destroy the mind. The goal is to stop allowing the mind to control your entire experience of life. And slowly, this creates inner freedom. You begin trusting life more deeply. You begin relaxing into the present moment more naturally. You begin noticing beauty that fear once blocked from awareness. The Buddha taught that awakening is not escaping life. Awakening is finally experiencing life without constant mental distortion, seeing clearly, feeling deeply, being fully present. And when overthinking loses its power over the mind, something beautiful happens. Life begins feeling real again. The sky looks peaceful again. Silence feels comforting again. Ordinary moments begin feeling sacred again, not because life suddenly became perfect, but because awareness finally became stronger than fear. Many people spend years mentally preparing for disasters that never happen, while completely missing the beauty already surrounding them. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before life passed by unnoticed, because one day many people will realize they spent too much time inside their thoughts and not enough time fully experiencing life. They will realize they sacrificed peaceful moments for fears that never became reality. They will realize happiness was available in simple moments they overlooked completely. Do not wait until life becomes memory before finally becoming present. Slow down, breathe deeply. Stop mentally running from moment to moment, because life is not happening inside your thoughts. Life is happening right now, and the moment you stop overthinking, life begins feeling beautiful again, not because every problem disappears, but because the mind finally becomes quiet enough to notice the beauty that was always there. 19. One day you will miss the life you are complaining about today. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that the human mind has a dangerous habit. It constantly focuses on what is missing while ignoring what is already present. Because of this, many people spend years complaining about their life without realizing they are living moments they will one day deeply miss. People complain about ordinary days because they seem boring. They complain about routines because they feel repetitive. They complain about responsibilities, small inconveniences, and imperfect situations. But one day, many of those ordinary moments quietly disappear forever, and suddenly, the heart realizes how beautiful they actually were. The peaceful mornings once ignored become precious memories. The conversations once taken for granted become unforgettable. The simple moments people barely noticed become the moments they wish they could experience one more time. The Buddha understood that human beings often fail to appreciate life while they are living it. The mind becomes so distracted by future worries, comparison, pressure, and endless desires that it completely overlooks the beauty already surrounding it. This is why Buddhism teaches awareness so deeply, because awareness allows people to wake up before life becomes memory. Many people believe suffering comes only from painful situations, but the Buddha taught that suffering also comes from unconscious living. It comes from moving through life without truly noticing it. Think about how quickly entire seasons of your life already disappeared. Childhood disappeared. Certain friendships disappeared. Old homes disappeared. People you once spoke to every day slowly faded from your life. At one point, all of those moments felt ordinary. You assumed they would always continue. But now many of them exist only inside memory. This is the nature of life. Everything changes. The Buddha taught that impermanence is not meant to create sadness. It is meant to awaken gratitude. Because when you understand that moments do not last forever, you stop taking them for granted. A simple dinner with family becomes valuable. A quiet evening becomes meaningful. A peaceful, ordinary day becomes beautiful. But the distracted mind rarely notices these things while they still exist. Modern life trains people to constantly feel dissatisfied. Society teaches people to always want more success, more money, more excitement, more validation. And because the mind becomes obsessed with what it still lacks, gratitude slowly disappears. The Buddha taught that craving creates suffering because the mind constantly says, "This moment is not enough. This life is not enough. I need something else before I can feel happy." And because people believe these thoughts, they spend years mentally escaping the present moment. While sitting inside beautiful ordinary moments, the mind keeps searching somewhere else for happiness. This is why so many people fail to appreciate their current life until it changes. A healthy person rarely thinks deeply about the gift of health until sickness arrives. A person surrounded by loved ones often forgets their value until separation or loss appears. A peaceful season feels boring until difficult times begin. Only then does the heart finally understand what the mind once ignored. The Buddha taught that the human mind often sleeps through life emotionally. People wake up already stressed. Their thoughts immediately rush toward responsibilities, fears, and future problems. Even during peaceful moments, the mind refuses to rest. Instead of experiencing life, people mentally fight life all day long. And because of this, ordinary beauty becomes invisible. The sound of rain becomes background noise. A calm evening becomes unimportant. Another sunrise becomes ordinary. But one day, many people would give anything to experience those moments one more time. This is one of the deepest truths in Buddhism. People often realize the value of something only after it disappears. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that regret. That is why mindfulness is so important in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches people to fully experience the present moment, instead of constantly escaping it through worry and distraction. When awareness returns, life begins feeling different. Simple moments suddenly become meaningful again. A peaceful walk feels calming, silence feels healing, a small conversation feels valuable. Nothing outside changed. The mind simply became present enough to notice. Many people are waiting for huge, life-changing moments before allowing themselves to feel grateful. But the Buddha taught that life is mostly made of ordinary moments, and those ordinary moments become your entire life. A few peaceful mornings, a few quiet evenings, a few conversations with people you love. These moments pass quickly. The Buddha understood that people often waste these moments because they are mentally trapped somewhere else. Some people live inside regret, others live inside fear, others live inside comparison. Very few people fully live inside now. But now is the only place life actually exists, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. This breath matters. This ordinary day matters. Many people believe they have endless time left. Because of this illusion, they continue postponing happiness and appreciation. I'll spend more time with loved ones later. I'll finally slow down later. I'll enjoy life after success. But later is never guaranteed. The Buddha taught that life is uncertain and fragile. No one truly knows how much time remains. This truth is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create awareness, because awareness changes the way people experience ordinary life. The mindful person notices beauty more deeply. They appreciate moments while they still exist. They stop taking simple things for granted, not because life becomes perfect, but because awareness becomes awake. Many people unknowingly destroy peaceful moments by constantly focusing on what is wrong. Even during calm seasons of life, the mind searches for problems. One small inconvenience ruins the entire day. One fear destroys moments of peace. One comparison steals gratitude instantly. This is what the restless mind does. The Buddha taught that a restless mind cannot experience happiness deeply because it is addicted to dissatisfaction. No matter how much beauty exists around it, the mind keeps saying, "This is still not enough." And because of this, people become emotionally blind to the blessings already surrounding them. The Buddha compared awareness to waking up from sleep. Most people move through life automatically without truly noticing reality. Their habits control them. Their fears control them. Their cravings control them. But mindfulness creates awakening. Suddenly, life feels alive again. The sky looks beautiful again. Silence feels peaceful again. Simple moments feel meaningful again. Not because the world changed overnight, but because awareness returned. This is why the Buddha taught that peace does not come from constantly chasing a different life. Peace often comes from finally appreciating the life you already have. Many people think happiness exists somewhere far away in the future, but often, happiness was hidden inside ordinary moments the entire time. The peaceful home they complained about, the routines they called boring, the ordinary days they failed to appreciate. These things were life itself. One day, many people will look back and realize that the moments they considered unimportant were actually the moments that mattered most. The mornings with parents, the conversations with friends, the calm days before life became difficult. All of it becomes memory faster than people expect. The Buddha taught that awareness of impermanence softens the heart. It reminds people not to waste life lost inside endless worrying and dissatisfaction. Because one day, the people around you will change. Your current life will change. Even your current struggles will eventually pass. Nothing remains forever. And because nothing lasts forever, every ordinary moment becomes deeply valuable. Many people spend years chasing perfection, while completely ignoring the beauty hidden inside imperfection. A peaceful moment after a difficult day, a quiet laugh during stressful times, a simple moment of rest. These things matter more than most people realize. But only the aware mind can fully experience them. The Buddha taught that gratitude is one of the highest forms of wisdom because it reconnects people with reality. The grateful mind notices blessings naturally. The restless mind notices only what is missing. This is why two people can live completely different emotional lives while experiencing similar situations. One person constantly complains and suffers mentally. The other notices beauty, peace, and meaning in small moments. The external world may look similar, but the condition of the mind changes everything. The Buddha understood that most people do not need a completely different life. They need a calmer mind. Because when the mind becomes calm, life suddenly feels more beautiful. The warmth of sunlight feels comforting. The sound of birds feels peaceful. A moment without anxiety feels valuable. These things were always available. The mind was simply too distracted to notice them before. Many people are mentally running so fast through life that they never stop long enough to truly experience it. They rush through mornings, rush through conversations, rush through years, and suddenly time is gone. The Buddha taught that this is one of the saddest forms of suffering, to spend your whole life preparing to live instead of actually living. One day, many people will realize they worried too much and appreciated too little. They will realize they sacrificed peaceful moments for fears that never even happened. They will realize happiness was quietly available in ordinary days they overlooked completely. The Buddha wanted people to awaken before reaching that realization, because life itself is already precious. Another breath is precious. Another conversation is precious. Another peaceful, ordinary day is precious. Do not wait until your current life becomes memory before finally appreciating it. Slow down now. Notice the people around you now. Notice the beauty hidden inside ordinary moments now. Because one day, the life you are complaining about today may become the life you miss the most. And life was always beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught that life becomes painful when the mind is constantly trapped in fear, worry, comparison, and endless desire. Many people spend their entire lives rushing toward the future, while completely missing the beauty of the present moment. They worry too much, they overthink too much, they chase too much, and because of this, they forget how to simply live. But one day, everything changes, the stressful moments pass, the fears disappear, the busy years quietly fade away. And suddenly, people realize something deeply emotional. Life was always beautiful. The peaceful mornings were beautiful. The ordinary conversations were beautiful. The quiet moments of rest were beautiful. Even the imperfect days carried meaning and value. The problem was never that life had no beauty. The problem was that the mind was too distracted to notice it. The Buddha taught that true peace begins when you stop mentally escaping life and finally become present enough to experience it fully. When the mind becomes calm, life feels lighter. When awareness returns, beauty becomes visible again. When gratitude grows, ordinary moments begin feeling sacred. You stop taking simple things for granted. You stop postponing happiness endlessly. You stop allowing fear to steal the present moment. And slowly, your heart begins to understand something powerful. You do not need a perfect life to feel peace. You only need a peaceful mind. Life will always contain change, uncertainty, and difficult moments. But it will also always contain beauty, the beauty of silence, the beauty of another sunrise, the beauty of human connection, the beauty of simply being alive. So before life becomes memory, slow down, take a deep breath, notice the people around you, appreciate ordinary moments while they still exist. Because one day you may realize that the moments you thought were small were actually the moments that mattered most. Life was never waiting to become beautiful someday. Life was already beautiful. You were simply too busy worrying to notice it.